Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to NerdDum's Levels of Ridiculousness podcast. I'm your host Ozpin and I'm joined by my co-host and buddy DK.
Hello people.
Levels of Ridiculousness, or lore, is a show dedicated to our conversations on all things nerd. We touch on a wide variety of subjects, news, and feature a different main discussion topic every week. This week's main discussion of NerdDum lore is our personal histories with Star Wars.
Star Wars. Or long, long ago, yet so far into the future.
Oh my god. We will be going over the movies one by one. We are keeping the conversation restricted to the 6 initial live-action movies and then Rogue One. And you've seen The Force Awakens, right?
Yes, but those will be left out, right?
Are we leaving them out?
I think
we should talk about them.
I think we should leave those.
They did not end it.
3 movies to talk about in the next one we do, because we're gonna go see the new Last Jedi that comes out this Friday.
We are. That's one of the reasons why we're actually doing this as our main topic, is because The Last Jedi comes out in what, 2 days?
Comes out Friday.
It is us. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is us celebrating the release of The Last Jedi. Woohoo! We'll keep that in flux. It's a good idea to wait for Rogue One and The Force Awakens for later.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe we should talk about them, but we'll figure it out before we get to the main discussion.
We will talk about them, we'll just not now.
That's fine. But let's go to NerdDum updates. And I'll go ahead and cover our botch.
Okay.
So, re-recorded the last 2. Which ones were they specifically? Iron Man?
It was the last podcast and Iron Man and Captain America fun facts.
Yeah, it was NerdDum lore level 7. And those 2 fun facts videos were recorded using the wrong microphone on our laptop.
When I was editing 7, I was like, something seems wrong.
I knew something was wrong.
Right.
I knew something was wrong immediately when I listened to level 7 to proof check it. There was but what are you going to do? We have since remedied that. Hopefully the audio is coming through much cleaner
now
in this podcast as opposed to before, and the fun facts videos will also be cleaner.
Yes.
Going forward. Yeah, going forward.
We figured out how to actually use it.
Yeah. We thought about
properly.
Yeah, we were forced to think about it when we realized that we actually had to point and click a thing as opposed to just plugging it in.
Not so simple anymore.
But yeah, we have a very nice mic. We will be taking advantage of said nice mic from this point going forward.
I'm proud of my mic. I'm proud of our mic.
And I believe that's all the NerdDum updates we have.
Yeah, there's nothing very new.
So what you been up to?
Me? I got...
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
I was going to say it's like I'm going to start streaming Mondays. Not next week, but the week after. Essentially, beginning of the year.
Yeah. We'll hammer out an actual schedule for that so that we can stick to it, and then from that point on, we can actually let the listeners know when that's going to happen.
I'm going to stream Mondays. I just have to get to the point where I'm steady.
Yeah.
So what I've been up to is I bought Eden's Gate Volume 3, which is really, really a good book series so far. It's one of those Isekai novels, which is, if you don't know what it is, it's basically you're transferred to another world. So for this one, has a twist. He got transferred into a game, and he's permanently in there, and his body died. And you're immortal in the game.
Yay.
You'll die. You'll come back. You'll
until someone reboots the system.
No, the government decided they're going to keep it running.
So it's that kind of story.
Well, no, the government was going to shut it down in the end. I'm not going to spoil it. But essentially, the government's not going to shut it down, but they also restricted it to not letting other people join freely. Also, on top of that, you're immortal in it unless you want to die, where you change the setting toward
Digital
die.
immortality has a very serious ramification in any setting. It doesn't matter if it's a... I'm more interested in what's going on outside the game. You said it's called Eden's Gate?
Eden's Gate.
I'd be more interested as far as what's going on outside the game if that knowledge became public. It's like, yeah, guess what? You can live forever online.
Oh, no, it was publicized. On live TV.
Holy crap, okay.
Yeah.
That starts wars.
Yeah, it's a very interesting series.
Uh-huh.
I'm reading it. It's really nice.
Cool.
I'd recommend it. It's book 3 just came out not too long ago. I just got it in the mail.
Awesome.
Reserved. You. All right. I'll pass the baton to
you. Same as always. Ruby and Orville. I don't see myself ever saying anything negative about Ruby unless it really lets me down. Because frankly, Ruby's one of my favorite things that's happening right now. Some of my other very favorite things that's happening right now are like Stranger Things, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just the fact that that's happening in such an aesthetically pleasing way. You know? Because that could have failed so hard. It's like, yeah, it's been in the process for a decade, but I'm still super happy that's happening. Orville's kind of in that, but we're going to have to see how... Orville's very much, it's got that comedy element to it, and I want to see how well it handles more serious events. So I want to get to the season finale, and see what the season finale looks like, because I think we're 13, 14 episodes into Orville?
I wonder how many,
maybe a little less.
I wonder if it's going to go to 26.
22 to 26 is the ideal number of episodes for a television series for a season.
Yeah. But it's Hulu, so.
Is it Hulu? Is it Hulu? I thought it was on TV, and it was. I'm just watching it on Hulu.
It could be on TV.
I think it's a TV show.
It's streaming on Hulu also.
Yeah. Yeah. It's But yeah, Orville, Ruby, highly recommended. Everybody go watch those shows. I'll let you go again.
The last thing I have, because all I do is work, is I bought the first volume of Death March, the light novel.
Is that the one you want me to read?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm reading it online, but I'm also, supporting the publisher because I'm buying the actual books.
Uh-huh.
I'm a very support your artists. That's what I've always thought about.
I'm super excited. I sent you a picture of the number of pages in Oathbringer.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for Oathbringer because, frankly, The Way of Kings was my favorite fantasy book I've ever read. And that's not a slouch either. Each of the 3 books have over 1,000 pages for the Stormlight Archive series. Stormlight Archive series, by the way, people, by Brandon Sanderson. It's very good. Brandon Sanderson helped to finish off the 15th book of the Wheel of Time series.
That's a lot of books.
They are all very large novels. The Wheel of Time was a series that was started by Robert Jordan way the heck back when.
Yeah.
But he died before he could finish writing it.
Because he wrote it for so long.
Because he wrote 15 books. Technically, Memory of Light is... Brandon Sanderson helped to finish several of the books. 3 or 4 of them he actually helped to finish. But A Memory of Light was the 14th in the series. But I'm also counting New Spring, which is a prequel. So it is a 15-book large novella of high fantasy that the creator literally did not get to live to complete.
That's a shame.
Brandon Sanderson comes in and he finishes the Wheel of Time series. But that's not... I like the Stormlight Archive a lot more than I like the Wheel of Time. I liked the Wheel of Time. And it makes me want to... I haven't had the opportunity to explore more of Brandon Sanderson's things, but he's also well known for writing Mistborn. I think it's the Mistborn series, where people eat metal.
Well, okay then.
They absorb metal, and it gives them superpowers. Stormlight Archive is that.
That's
The
weird.
Stormlight Archive is that, but with, like, storm energy. They breathe in storm energy. It's hard to explain. I let you listen to a little bit of The Way of Kings with me. Fair enough.
But that was all of what I had. I haven't been up too much because...
How did I get on the Wheel of Time?
I was talking about a light novel and you monologue.
Which, you also want me to read that?
Yes, when I get more of them. It's a really good book series.
I feel like a jerk because I was making a point and now the point escapes me. What? You were saying something and I went on a quick tangent just to promote those stories that I read.
Support the artists.
Yes, that's the point. I really like Brandon Sanderson and I like him for reasons beyond the fact that he helped complete the Wheel of Time, even though I am a big fan of the Wheel of Time. But Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive series is very good, and this is me supporting Brandon Sanderson, and also saying, even though I have yet to check out his other works, everybody should go look at the Mistborn series, because I hear it's great. It is a story about heroes after the good guys lost the great battle.
Wow.
Evil has won. The Empire rules, the good guys lost, and it's a story about what happens after that. It's like, what do you do when you have lost? And it's very interesting. But
Become evil.
Well, that's the easy way, isn't it? But as far as what else I've been up to, I dipped a little bit back into Friends. I watched a little bit of Friends on Netflix, and for those who don't know, which is nobody,
all of the Friends are horrible people.
I disagree, but frankly, for you, I doubt you know this. I have Friends on DVD. I have the whole series on DVD. That's in storage. I haven't watched it in a very long time. Some of the discs are, frankly, badly damaged, but I have Friends on DVD. I love Friends. And frankly, it's just a good pick-me-up. Just to sit down and watch an episode or two of Friends. And I dipped in and I watched like 4 or 5 episodes of that the other night. And then immediately jumped into the other thing that I've been up to, which is... I've been watching Season 7 of The Walking Dead.
Oh, God.
So I watched this kind of uplifting thing before I watched this absolutely...
depressing.
Mind-breakingly depressing. One of the... The Walking Dead Season 7 has a lot of moments where you're like, this is legitimately kind of hard to sit through. Especially at the beginning.
I jumped off ship about a season or 2 ago, and I'm glad I jumped off.
What made you jump?
Lost interest.
Fair enough. Did they kill a character you liked, or
no? I just lost interest. I realized that I was no longer invested in anything. Huh. I realized any of these characters could die, and I would be like, meh.
Yeah, I was scared to get into Game of Thrones for the exact reason you just said. And Game of Thrones, frankly, it's very, very difficult for me to get invested in any of those characters, except for the ones who are essentially mainstays. Because they're all terrible people.
Yes.
In one way or another. And even some of the people you think are real assholes. Like Jaime. Actually prove themselves to be... But some of the characters who are real jerks, like Jaime, even prove themselves to be, hey, this guy's not so bad. He's, messing with his sister and has a lot of kids with her, but he's kind of a good guy, if you look at his motivations.
Messed up in the head.
Yeah, well, he's medieval messed up.
Yes.
But they're all jerks. And it's hard to get invested in a series where there are so many characters going by, and most of them are jerks. I love The Walking Dead because I can get invested in everyone. Very rarely are there characters in The Walking Dead that I don't love. I hated Andrea. Oh boy, did I hate Andrea. But every character since then I have liked on some level.
Oh, yeah.
They have not introduced a character that I'm like, man, I wish that guy would die. Unless they were the villain. And even then, the villains are so good in The Walking Dead that you love watching them. The governor... Negan, certainly. Negan's one of the things that's keeping this show going as well as it's going. The mid-season finale of Season 8 just aired. I don't know what happened, but I am aware of a major spoiler and reveal that took place during that.
I know nothing. I know nothing!
I won't ruin it for you, just in case I do manage to get you back on board with me at some point.
Good luck. That's like a Superman eat.
I'm gonna have it all on Blu-ray eventually. Frankly, I still have my my Blu-rays loaned out to someone. But, yeah, Friends to raise my spirits, and then Walking Dead to crush them utterly.
They do that.
And then back to Friends! I went back and I watched another episode or two of Friends after I finished my Walking Dead excursion.
Smart.
I have 3 or 4 episodes of Friends left. I mean, The Walking Dead. But, yeah, that's all I've been up to, as...
Nothing. Same old, same old.
Well, I will always talk about Ruby and Orville until those shows go on break. So...
Or end.
Don't say that.
And then the tears flow.
But we can go ahead and jump into nerd news. I'll let you go ahead and talk about your story really quick, but when we're done with the top story, I have something that's worth mentioning.
Alrighty. So, my story is, essentially, it's just about Nintendo Switch. In the past few months, it came out in March, it has sold over 10 million consoles.
Really? 10 million?
Over 10 million consoles.
Okay.
That's
Since March?
Since March.
Okay.
Not even 9 months. Within this year, it has sold 10 million. Now, put that in retrospect, the first year that, Sony had the PS4 out, it sold double the Xbox, and that was 3.3 million. So if it keeps this pace up, it's gonna...
To be fair, I feel like the PS4 wasn't as popular a system.
It is. It is.
It's popular now, but there were...
But that's what I'm saying.
Certainly, I had the reservation I had the reservation of jumping from PS3 to PS4 because I have some digital games. There's a level of I already have this system, sort of. I don't want to pay $400 for a new one and then have to transfer all of my data.
In a way, you're right about it being more popular, the Switch that is, because it's selling more.
I'm saying that in defense of the PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
is that people had kind of a hesitation towards the PlayStation 4. Frankly, I think people had the same hesitation toward the Xbox.
Xbox sold still to this
I'm not saying they sold badly, but
they're still talking about millions.
Yeah.
Like, together, they probably sold about 5 million in the first year.
Yeah.
But the Nintendo Switch by itself has doubled that.
I don't know.
I would like to... one of the factors I'd say that contribute to that is the demand. They're keeping the demand high, but only be able to put out a little bit at a time. Which is a tactic.
I legitimately do not know anything about the Switch. I don't know what the difference between it and the Wii is.
The Switch you can take out of the house and move around.
Is that the one with the side handles that attach? Okay. Yeah.
I frankly want one severely.
I've drifted from gaming a little bit myself.
Yes.
I know you've been talking about how you want a Switch.
Gamer, I want one.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
But finding the money is hard for any adult.
So they've sold how many consoles?
Over 10 million.
In 9 months.
Less than 9 months.
That's impressive.
Very.
All right.
In the first year, 3.3 million for just the Sony PlayStation.
Dang.
And it sold amazing.
So this is a very popular system.
Extremely.
All right.
They thought that I believe that they thought they were going to sell about 7 million, which is PlayStation last year, I believe, sold a little bit more than that, 7.3 million. But
well, I guess that just goes to say that Nintendo's still in the running. A lot of people considered Nintendo out of the current running for the console wars. They kind of considered Nintendo out of the console wars after the Wii because they didn't produce a new system at the same time as everybody else.
Yes, and then everybody needs to realize that it's called console wars for no reason, just because a console puts out
it's because they come out very close to each other.
Been put out doesn't mean that The other one needs to put it out right away and
Well,
compete.
I use the
Don't
word...
compete. Synergy. That's all you need. Synergy.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like the reason
people need
why...
to stop arguing about it. Just stick with what you enjoy. But the reason they're called the console wars is because usually the game systems will come out right around the same time.
That's what I'm talking about.
But
That's not needed.
Frankly, the term console wars comes from, frankly, platform wars. You know, you've got the PC, you've got PC, you've got Sony, you've got Xbox,
The Play PC,
and you've got Nintendo. And those four are always kind of like, you have a lot of vocal fans in each of those fandoms. I can call them fandoms. They are essentially fandoms that adamantly and verbally support their system over any other options as far as being able to play a game. But yeah, there is... I agree with you. The fan bases kind of require a type of synergy. And I think we've achieved that in the last few years. I think we've gotten a lot better as far as PC gamers dissing PlayStation or console gamers. That was the big one for a long time. Was PCers were always like, I'm so much better than you because I've got a PC or whatever the hell.
No, that's still prevalent. It's still
prevalent, but it's better.
Like I was saying, it's the PC master race. That's what they call themselves.
Hi.
I am a console gamer and a PC gamer.
Yeah.
I am a hybrid. I'm like a daywalker. I'm not. It's not natural. It's not natural.
You just showed your nerd so hard.
Shut up.
You just put your nerd right on the table to show off everybody. It's like, the way you worded that, for those who aren't really aware, DK looks like a jock. DK looks like a football player. And, you're not.
I am fit to a degree, though.
Yeah, but that's what I meant. It's like you're stacked like a football player, but you say things like, I'm a daywalker, when you're trying to describe your particular type of gaming.
But like
I'm a hybrid. I'm like a daywalker. That was great. Thank you for that.
But Nintendo has a niche, a key element, that it is a happy, kiddish type console, where it's not kid games, but it's happy, it's family games. Your mom can walk in on you playing any game of theirs, and you won't be like, let me explain, like you do on PlayStation 4 and Xbox. That's why they're doing so well, is because they don't have a competition. I'd like to point out
Nintendo has always been so particular about that.
I'd also like to point out that in Japan, where they're mostly selling them, where they come first, they are more prone to buy portable consoles like a PSP, Nintendo DS.
Yeah,
Switch.
Japan definitely.
So
they had a big PSP craze for a while.
Yes, and then the Vita.
Really?
Yeah, they're not even making games for it anymore.
That sucks.
Yeah,
I feel like I would have enjoyed the Vita.
I
never would have gotten a Vita, but
they don't have a lot of games, but they have a lot of games.
But yeah, Nintendo has always been so particular about, we are the family-friendly game company. And I'm like, go you. Go you.
But I want to play Mario Galaxy.
Represent.
Or Mario Odyssey, I believe it's called.
It's the one where he has the wedding hat?
No, he has the hat, but not the wedding hat. His normal hat.
Which one starts with the wedding? The new one that starts with the wedding?
Yeah, that's the one that starts the wedding. But
okay.
Also, I want to play
His normal hat dies. His normal hat's not alive.
It becomes sentient.
His normal hat?
No, his normal hat's destroyed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're like, his normal hat dies, and I'm like, it's not alive to begin with, right?
I don't know, is it? Plot twist.
Ellipses.
Mr. Creepypasta, let's get on this.
Why are you directly calling out Mr. Creepypasta?
Because I know nothing of him.
I love you, Mr. Creepypasta. Call me. We're in the Dallas area.
I do not like creepy, scary stuff like that. Ozpin loves it. So
I love creepypastas. But yeah, I like... That was cool. That was sort of out of nowhere. You're like, yeah, Mr. Creepypasta. I'm like, really? Get me excited. I like that stuff. But, yeah. Can I go ahead and move on to my news story?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to talk about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Oh,
and the fact that
God.
we've not only had either 1 or 2 trailers drop for that, but we've had sort of... They amount to featurettes in trailer form that talks about the making of the movie and shows kind of behind the scenes stuff going on. And the main thing that I would like to discuss is the fact that they are for the better, in my opinion. Some people would say for the better or the worse. For the better, in my opinion,
or worse,
because they look good. They are using real animatronics for the dinosaurs, and they look great. Plus the fact that Jeff Goldblum's in it.
That's a bonus.
That is...
You can always use more Goldblum.
I always liked the joke somebody said on a podcast I used to listen to. It's like, yeah, put some Batman in it. You can never... It's like Batman to taste. Pinch of Batman or a tablespoon, however much you need. Just put some Batman in it. Someone was talking about The Dark Knight and how it was basically a remake of the movie Heat with Batman in it. So it's like, just add a little pinch of Batman. Just enough. But, yeah, it never hurts to have a little Goldblum.
No.
Add a little Goldblum to taste.
Just a little aftertaste.
But yeah, the puppets look great. The animatronics look great. And I'm so excited because you need that. You really do. I stand by... I'm not a big fan of CG. Some CG looks really good these days. Like, extremely good. I was watching a game trailer earlier and I couldn't tell it was CG. That's photoreal, and it's taken us decades to get there. Because I have a very good eye for what is CG and what's not. I can tell if it's real and what it's not. And there are times these days where I cannot tell. Skinny little Steve Rogers from Captain America, I can't tell. You can tell if you look really close. But I've always liked movies that mix the two and do as much as they can with practical effects. Jurassic Park was one of those movies. Terminator 2, my favorite movie, was one of those movies. And I like the fact that they're doing that because they said they were going to do it for the first Jurassic World, and they
didn't.
They said they did.
Doesn't look like it.
But if they did, then they just printed over the animatronics with CG.
Yeah, I didn't.
Play-Doh
I didn't see
dinosaurs. I did. I liked the movie.
No, I saw
a
the
lot
movie.
of people
I did not see the animatronics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like if the animatronics were there, and they said that they were, if the animatronics were there, they were more or less plastered over with the Play-Doh looking CG dinosaurs.
Yeah, I know.
And the dinosaurs in Fallen Kingdom, I think it's called Fallen Kingdom, they look really good. And we're gonna get some Goldblum.
I hope it goes well. I do not have high expectations.
Yeah. But we'll go ahead and move to our top story, which is within the next few days, Disney is purported to undergo a merger with Fox.
Yeah.
It has not officially been announced yet, but it is projected to occur within the next few days. We're recording this on December 12th.
Yep.
So we're waiting to hear about that, just like everybody else is, but it is very likely that it is going to happen now, which I'm very excited for.
We might actually, in our lifetime, see X-Men in the MCU.
Yeah, a fully realized cinematic
universe.
Marvel universe. Because Fox are the ones who own all of those rights, right?
Yeah. Fantastic
None
Four
of the weird
and
ones.
X-Men.
None of the weird ones wound up in somebody else's hands, did they? Fox bought them all.
Fox is going to keep Venom. They're still going to own Venom, and I believe they're still going to own Spider-Man.
That's what we're saying. It doesn't matter what they own. If Disney buys Fox, if they merge, Marvel,
they're one company at that point.
Yeah, they're one company, and Marvel's going to have full access.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, Marvel will have full access to all of the characters, and yes, that's too powerful, and we'll probably need to. That's going around a lot in the little minor topic that I'm bringing up after we finish with the top story. I'm gonna mention that too, but letting too much power accumulate in one place is never a good idea.
It's called a monopoly, and it's not good.
It is called a monopoly, and Disney has always been the monopoly.
Yeah.
And we're all okay with that because Disney is the company that gives us all the kid-friendly stuff. You know, they're targeted toward kids. And they're not just a movie company, you know?
Not anymore.
They're not just people who make cartoons. But what are your thoughts on Disney buying Fox? Or merging with Fox, whatever the terminology is?
I believe that it's going to be better for the MCU. I believe that's a lot of power.
To put in one spot, yeah?
Yeah. It's like, don't hold all your nukes in the same area. It's never a good idea. Two guys might bump them together, and then the whole thing just happens. It's like dominoes.
Yeah. Or one person there will decide to use them all.
Or trigger one, and then, dominoes.
Anyway.
Next topic.
We here at NerdDum do not believe that Disney is in possession of nuclear weapons. Next topic.
I plead the fifth.
That is our top story, and we're going to move into a minor story that I feel is worth mentioning again. Today is December 12th.
I do too. I believe that this is very key.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the fact that net neutrality, that's a thing right now. And it's a very concerning topic. Because you get the feeling a lot of people aren't taking it as seriously as they should be. You know, I've mentioned this before. Probably on the last podcast, how we as an internet community tend to have this passive acceptance of things as they come. You know, if something bad happens, we'll gripe about it.
Very much so.
But we won't necessarily
do something.
Make an aggressive move to solve the problem. We'll complain about it for a little while, we'll get used to it, and we'll move on. Some things you can't do that with, and I feel that net neutrality is one of those things. For those who aren't aware, very soon, I'm not sure about the exact date, but very soon, within the next couple of days, there is going to be a vote as far as net neutrality is concerned. And if the vote goes the wrong way, it will result in internet providers having what essentially amounts to, like we said before, monopolies regarding what content you have access to for the prices that you're being charged. So also, if you have, and certainly I'm not saying anything negative about these companies, but I'm just using them as verbal examples. If you have what? Time Warner, is that a good one?
Verizon.
If you have Verizon, and Verizon doesn't give you immediate access to websites like, let's say, YouTube or Twitter.
Instead charges you a fee.
Yeah, help me with this.
A monthly fee. If you want to watch YouTube, you have to pay a monthly fee to use YouTube.
Yeah, that
is a possibility.
There are different pricing tiers. There are different...
you don't have the entertainment package. You don't have
packages, yes,
social media package. You don't have the basic internet package.
But more so to the point that really concerns me and a lot of other people. If you have a provider, it negates your access to a variety of other things. Because internet websites and companies will make contracts with specific providers. So if you have, let's say, Verizon, and Verizon has an agreement with YouTube, for example, if you get T-Mobile, T-Mobile's not going to have that same agreement with YouTube. Exactly. Therefore, you're not going to have access to YouTube.
Along those lines, yes.
Yeah. And that really should concern everyone. In the fact that, and we're not being paid to talk about this. Who would pay us? Who would pay us?
Not even I can't even pay myself.
Our point is that the internet is about to start being policed in a way that really should concern everybody. Your content is about to become limited. The websites that you're about to have access to are also about to become limited.
And what you try to look up online can be biased now.
Yes, but more to the point, what you try to look up online will be monitored.
Yeah, well...
Your privacy will be invaded.
Privacy, not so much. It's just limiting... It's giving you the option to... hey, say hello to Balthazar, everybody. That was my cat.
Your cat's up here on the table. But anyway, net neutrality...
It's not them spying. They still can't do that. That's not net neutrality.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to be spying. I'm
saying
saying
monitor you.
They are going to start censoring your content.
Yes, they're going to make what you're going to see is very purposed.
Yes, it is very streamlined for you. But privacy was not the appropriate terminology.
Okay.
I admit that. I apologize for using that wording. But what you are going to have access to, that is very much at risk right now. So for all of you who are interested in contributing to trying and staving off these bad things that are about to happen, because frankly, it will be bad. When it happens, it's going to go down for real, and it's going to suck hard for everybody.
Get on the internet as it is now. Go to your state governor, your state Senate man, and call them. Representative, your state representative, call them. Tell them that you want, net neutrality to stay.
Yes.
It's called neutrality because it's even playing ground at that point. No one can force you to pay extra to go to a certain website. And
there are plenty of... I'm sure you can go to links. Just like Google net neutrality. I'm sure that you will find plenty of links that will lead you to where you need to go to make a difference as far as... We will do our best to include links in the description. But you can certainly... It's all over the place right now. Everyone's talking about it. And I felt that it was important enough, both DK and I felt that it was important enough for us to address it on air.
Yes, it's important.
So, everyone, please, contact the appropriate individuals and let them know that you would like net neutrality to remain neutral.
Yep.
Funnily enough.
In place.
I think I even heard somebody talking about how it's almost a violation of states' rights at that point.
No, each state can put their own net neutrality. It's state to state. It's not just countrywide.
Yeah.
So if Texas representatives say, hey, we want net neutrality still, they can't do that in Texas.
Yeah. The fact that they're making a call in another state, and that call could be used to influence other legal...
If you put enough...
illegal rulings in the future, people are arguing is...
Yeah.
It's a bad standard to set.
Yes, very.
But this is a very important thing that, frankly, everybody needs to know about, and everybody should make an attempt to do something about it. But we've spent long enough talking about that.
But it was needed to say.
Yes, it was necessary, and please, everyone, do what you can. And we can go ahead and move on from that little note to our main discussion topic, which is our personal histories with Star Wars. DK, why don't... Here's how we're going to do this. Are we going to start with the prequels, or are we going to start with the original movies?
I'm going to start with the order that I saw them.
Okay, because I want to go movie by movie.
Let's go Episode 4, New Hope.
Start with the originals. Okay. So what is your personal history with Star Wars, as I choose to call it?
When I was a child.
Here we go.
Quite literally, actually. There was this grand man that gave me the insight into all things nerd. His name was Donnie. He got me into everything anime, manga, video games, and oddly enough, Lord of the Rings, and guess what?
What?
Star Wars.
Yep.
He showed me Star Wars when I was just a youngin'.
He introduced you. He
made me. I thought it was going to be horrible. He sat me down because I wasn't into nerd stuff at that point. I was only 7.
But he introduced you to A New Hope.
I started D&D right after he showed me Star Wars. Like, what else is there? That's awesome.
I know this guy a lot.
Yeah, I know this guy a lot. But he sat me down. He said, you're going to watch all 3 of these movies. Or we're going to watch them together. And I sat down and I watched them. And just seeing Luke, this awkward kid, finding out he's special. It's like, it's the heroes.
It is the hero's journey.
It's the hero's journey.
So much so
and
that...
I didn't know that, but it made me so happy as a child.
Oh, it's literally the hero's journey.
Yes, it quite literally is. And
this may have been paraphrasing, but I think it's not so much the hero. It's it's not just that it's the hero's journey, it's that Joseph Campbell was freaking there and coaching George Lucas through the story and just did the hero's journey. And yeah. It was either Joseph Campbell was there or George Lucas was using the book, but I think Joseph Campbell may have actually been there coaching George Lucas. I'm probably throwing that I'm probably destroying my credibility with that, but who knows, maybe I'm right. But Donnie introduced you to A New Hope.
Yes.
What were your initial thoughts on A New Hope?
What the fudge did I just watch? A man got hit, he turned into, like, nothing. When the lightsaber hit Obi-Wan, or Ben Kenobi
hey, disappeared. That's one way to say it, gore.
He disappeared. And that actually terrified me when I was a kid.
That scared you?
He just gone. I was like, no! What? Huh? Where'd he go? What?
I like that
guy! But it got me... It freaked me out. It got me deep. I was like, oh!
I like that guy!
As I do the Wookiee.
That's not a Wookiee, but
that's... No, that's my Wookiee.
That's a ghost.
My Wookiee is just a terrified Corey.
It's this huge thing on the sound wave. That's this huge... Anyway.
But it terrified me as a kid, and I almost stopped watching it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. Terrified that someone just became a ghost in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked it. The thing I liked the most was the ships.
Yeah.
And
there's certainly a lot to like there. Not the one
you would think. I liked what he drove on his planet.
Me too! Me too! That was it was one of my very first Lego sets.
I had that toy.
I had the Lego set.
8.
I had the old school Lego set.
They've
since released that. Heck, they have that at Walmart right now. They have the land speeder, Luke's land speeder. Frankly, George Lucas is on record as saying, I wanted to make a hot rod.
Yeah, he made a hot rod.
Yeah.
And I love that thing. I had the whole set. My dad gave it to me. It was his, I believe. And he gave it to me, and I opened it up. Mm-hmm. It was still in the package, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Oh, boy.
And I regret doing so now.
I never had any good Star Wars toys.
I got a bunch of them from my cousins, too, when I was growing up, because, hand-me-downs. Well, they grew out of Star Wars, apparently. I never did. Still not.
Yeah. I mean, for those who aren't aware, I'm more of a Star Trek fan than I am a Star Wars fan. In fact, anytime that DK and I have conversations about Star Wars, I tend to be the one pointing out, yeah, but that's kind of dumb. Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, but continuity, that really doesn't fit. I know a lot about Star Wars, not necessarily the expanded universe, but I do know enough to question things.
I say this.
I feel like I've reached the graduation point of I'm in a place where I'm comfortable enough to ask questions. And frankly, since the prequels came out, a lot of people seem to be in the same boat.
The thing is that I'm saying it's not science fiction, it's science fantasy.
Yes. And I can get on board with that. The problem is they started to treat it as science fiction more than science fantasy because they started trying to explain away so much of it scientifically as opposed to letting it be mystical.
I agree, that was a downfall.
Yeah.
That was a slight. That was not good.
In my D&D group, everyone knows not to say the M word. Midichlorians. I'll go off on you, but would you like me to go ahead and...
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as my introduction to Star Wars, I watched it back when I was a little kid and didn't know what I was looking at. I must have been 3. It was on TV. Constantly it was on TV. Star Wars was one of the movies that really... It was the movie for a long time that they would air on television over and over and over again. And I'd watch it with my dad. Before I even knew what it was, I'd watch it with my dad. Actually, to the point that when I watched Spaceballs, also on television when I was really little, I'm like, what's going on? This is weird.
This isn't what it's supposed to be.
This is strange.
What is the Schwartz?
I remember watching it, I'd hang out, because we had the TV in the bedroom, and I'd be hanging out there on the bed watching the TV. I remember the Death Star exploding, You know, I remember.
Luke, I am your mother.
Yeah, I was introduced to Star Wars because it was on television so much. I was introduced to the first movie, Star Wars, before they called it A New Hope. I was introduced to that as young as you probably can be introduced to it and retain it. Because I was like 3. You don't really remember things until you're like 6 months old, and even then you don't remember things till you're like 4. So, Star Wars was... It was... Frankly, I was too young to pay that much attention to it sometimes, but I certainly have the distinct memories of watching it with my dad. And that by itself makes it have value to me. Certainly Star Wars, in my opinion, the first one, A New Hope, is probably the best of the movies out of the 6, because we're not necessarily talking about the Rogue One and Force Awakens right now. But out of the 6, that one's probably my favorite, because I was introduced to it at such a young age. And because it's one of those movies that I remember watching on TV with my dad. I never really had any of the toys, but I had a lot of the Lego sets. I went crazy with the Lego sets. And one of my very first Lego sets was... Yes, I had the Land Speeder, but before that, I had the Lego set that was Luke, and then the 2 Scout Troopers with the motorbikes.
Oh, okay.
From Return of the Jedi. I had that set. It's one of the first Lego sets I remember getting. And then there was a big submarine that had like a crab pincer on one side. Those were pretty cool. But so we can move into. You said you watched them all at once?
Yes.
Okay, I did not do that. I'll go ahead and address that right now. I saw A New Hope. A New Hope, I call it that. It's Star Wars. I watched Star Wars when I was very young. I was not introduced to Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back until I was in my mid-teens. So, I actually saw Phantom Menace long before I even saw... Like, when the prequels started coming out, I had no idea Anakin was Darth Vader. Spoilers, by the way!
I bet you lost your mind.
I knew eventually. I knew before Revenge of the Sith came out, but the first 2 prequels came out, and I didn't know that Anakin was going to be a bad guy. Well, I say that, but when you watch Attack of the Clones, it's pretty... So you committed genocide and discriminately murdered a bunch of insect people. Indiscriminately. I meant that. Indiscriminately. He killed all of them. You not only killed the men, the women, and the children of a complete, like, tribe. You basically committed genocide. And then you go to the what are they called? The bug people?
I have no clue.
He just he breaks into their facilities and just starts indiscriminately murdering them too. Yeah. And it's like, you are not supposed to be doing that as a Jedi.
You have gone on the wrong track, Anakin.
That is not acceptable in any way.
Okay, so Empire Strikes Back. I watched this one quite literally after The New Hope. He literally just put the new...
You went right into it.
He rewind the VHS in the rewinder box.
How old were you?
I was 7.
Okay. And you were old enough to process them as cool.
Not even 2 months later, I started D&D.
Right.
Not even 2 months later.
Right.
I just turned 7. We got pizza. Maybe why I like pizza so much. Other than it tastes awesome, but I always feel happy when I eat pizza.
Uh-huh.
I put it in Empire Strikes Back, my favorite of the whole series. Even up to the most...
It's a lot of people's favorite.
My favorite part in it is...
For me, it's kind of tied between Star Wars and Empire. I keep saying Star Wars.
New Hope.
I don't like to call it A New Hope because it became A New Hope retroactively when the prequels came out. And I'm not a big fan of the prequels. I can tolerate Sith. We'll wait till the prequels. But I just wanted to clarify why I'm calling it Star Wars, because that's the name it was released with. It's kind of like that Tom Cruise movie. where they changed the name retroactively after it was
Edge of Tomorrow.
It was The Edge of Tomorrow. Then they
Live, Die,
changed.
Repeat.
Yeah, they actually changed the name of the movie between when it was in theaters and when it was released on DVD. And confusing, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna call it Live, Die, Repeat.
No, I'm calling it Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's The Edge of Tomorrow, and that's kind of a neat name because it makes sense for the movie.
Very much so. So what was your favorite thing about the Empire Strikes Back?
Well, you were introduced to Empire immediately after Star Wars, right?
Yes, I was.
My favorite part? A lot of people really like Yoda and the Yoda sequences.
I did.
I didn't either.
I liked Yoda, but not enough to make it my favorite.
Let's be clear. I like Empire. I like Yoda. I don't think those were my favorite parts of the movie.
No. My favorite part of the movie was
Vader choking.
A lot of people...
Vader choking dudes. Anytime we were
through
with
the
Vader.
Screen.
My favorite parts...
Through the screen!
Through the screen, but also there's the scene...
No, we're gonna stop. We're talking about this.
Hang on, let me talk.
Darth Vader a has-been, a peon, one of his people, through a screen. You know how much space there is between the two of them there? We're talking light years, boy. Light years. He choked someone through a unfathomable distance. We can't even fathom that distance. He choked someone with his mind. But that is awesome.
Probably anything with Vader was my favorite part of the movie.
As you can tell me too.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones, people.
James Earl Jones.
And I forget his name, but he was the...
Oh, I know his name.
Not the voice actor, but the body actor.
The body actor. David Prowse?
Fun fact.
David Prowse, I believe, is his name. 2
fun facts. I'm going to throw them right at you real quick. He thought his voice was going to be Darth Vader's voice. And he's
Scottish.
Really angry.
Oh!
When James Earl Jones' voice
was poor guy!
He was angry. He thought he was going to be Darth Vader.
Well, he does have this super heavy Scottish accent.
I know.
And it's like, what is the mic going to pick up? You're in a helmet, dude.
But still, he was mad. Also, on top
George Lucas has a habit of doing that.
Yeah.
George Lucas has a habit of... I mean, let's go ahead and address it. It's a Phantom Menace thing, but Ray Park, who plays Darth Maul, they don't use his voice. Ray Park is a badass. Ray Park's awesome. And... Ray Park is awesome. Ray Park he's Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe. He's Toad in X-Men. This guy gets around, but he's Darth Maul, and he's also in Spaced, which is a series by... I gotta remember his name, Scotty.
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg and Ray Park were both involved in a series. It's a science fiction, a very nerd series called Spaced, which is all about... Like, the feature of Simon Pegg's character in that show is the fact that he cannot get over how much of a betrayal Phantom Menace was. It is his defining feature in the show that Simon Pegg cannot let it go. But Ray Park's super underutilized. George Lucas has a habit of doing that. George Lucas will replace actors' voices. It's actually so much to a point that I've heard people make the joke of, go out there and be my meat puppets, and then maybe I'll use your voice later, or not.
Wow.
And faster and more intense.
My second fun fact is that everybody keeps saying, Luke, I am your father. He never says, Luke, I am your father. He says, no, I am your father. A lot of people get that mixed up.
I think the common problem is that...
I even said that earlier, and it was a joke. That I did a joke leading up to this fun fact, so you get my previous joke.
Yeah.
Get on my level, people.
Well, I think part of the problem from that actually stems from our generation is more exposed to Toy Story 2, where he says, "No, Buzz, I am your father."
At least he did.
No!
Right.
But yeah.
It's not possible.
I blew out the thing here. We may actually have to decrease the volume for that later. All right.
It's post.
So, Empire Strikes Back. What else was notable for it?
The X-Wing being lifted out of the swamp.
Oh, yeah. Iconic.
Oh, just like what you see in Luke, him like, this isn't possible, and then seeing it.
That is why you fail.
From someone so small, and it's like size doesn't matter, and just you see the
size matters.
He's such a great actor, Mark Hamill, that he played that tinge in his eye as if he realized.
I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So many iconic. I'm gonna try not to start quoting the movie, because so many iconic lines, like apology accepted.
Okay, and now
from Vader.
How is now it's your turn to go.
So I first saw Empire Strikes Back at my buddy's house, and at that point, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I think, as well, had already been released. I actually I asked my buddy, because his family was kind of old-fashioned and funny. I asked my buddy, can we sit down in the living room and watch Empire Strikes Back? Because I've never seen it. He's like, then he asked my dad, and the dad was like, yeah, alright, go ahead. So we sat down and we watched Empire Strikes Back. That was my first time seeing it.
Really?
I was hanging at my buddy's house. I don't really retain a lot from the first time that I saw it, because other things were going on.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think we wound up doing something else during the film, but I was also still kind of young. So, later... No, actually, I think that happened... I'm trying to order things in my head. That is a memory I keep of Empire. I know I was at my buddy's house, we watched it, and I think so much was going on that I didn't really retain anything of the movie. Or, no, we had to turn it off. We had to turn it off. Like I said, his family was kind of funny.
Okay.
So something else was going on, so we had to turn off the TV. So we didn't get all the way through the film. So later, we still had a movie rental store in my town. I lived out in the middle of the country, and there was a videotape rental store, and I rented Empire Strikes Back, and I rented Jedi. Return of the Jedi. And I watched them back to back.
You were dedicated to finishing it.
Yeah, I had... Scratch that. I'm pretty sure that we did finish Empire Strikes Back, and I'm thinking of Jedi.
Okay.
We started Jedi, and we turned off Jedi. Because his dad didn't want us watching 2 movies in a row. He was one of those guys. He's like, alright, y'all already watched Empire. Y'all go outside. Kinda, Dad.
Yeah.
So we watched Empire, we started Jedi, and he said, no, we can't do Jedi. So I saw Empire with my buddy, and then I went out and I rented Empire and Jedi and watched them back to back.
You had your way.
Yeah, I watched Jedi, dang it! But, I certainly did not appreciate the movie the first time I saw it.
Really?
I didn't even really like it the first time I saw it. But I was also the kid who enjoyed Phantom Menace more than a lot of other movies. I liked Phantom Menace. I get the feeling I kind of like talking head things. Because I also liked, as far as anime goes, I liked Dot Hack Sign.
Oh.
And there's not a lot of action.
Oh, Lord!
Putting aside the highly depressing aspect of it, there's not a lot of action in that show. There's a lot of talking heads.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talking about stuff. And frankly, there's a lot of talking about stuff in all anime, specifically Gundam, which is what I was first into. You know, it's one of my entry.
Makes sense, then.
It's my entry into anime. There's a lot of politics and a lot of talking about stuff in anime, and specifically Gundam. There's a lot of that in Phantom Menace too. It didn't feel that weird when I watched it, but I was also too young to know the difference. Empire, not a lot retained as far as the first time I saw it. The main reason I retain anything for Star Wars, A New Hope, is because I watched it with my dad when I was little, and I watched it repeatedly.
Yeah.
My experiences with Empire Strikes Back are much more limited. But it has become, if not my favorite, my second favorite, next to Star Wars / A New Hope. Retroactively, since I've become an adult and I can appreciate the finer aspects of filmmaking. So let's.
I'm just shaking my head up and down, like nodding.
Yeah, I know.
Constantly, Everybody, as he talks, I'm nodding my head like you guys can see me. I'm like, that's amazing. It's fascinating.
I do remember watching it over at my aunt's. Back when my aunt and my uncle were still alive. And seeing it there on their big screen TV and fully, like, appreciating it for the first time. Like, this is really good.
Yeah.
This is super, like, pulling me into the film. And it hadn't done that the first time. But again, there were a lot of distractions, and frankly, my friend's dad was not the coolest guy.
Jerk.
He was also my scoutmaster later.
Oh God.
So he's
okay,
not.
So going on.
I didn't like the guy that much.
Okay, so Return of the Jedi. Meh. Emperor Palpatine.
We sound like George Lucas. Meh.
The only thing that stands out in my mind that the film's good. It's a good film. I like watching it. I've seen it.
It's
at
meh.
Least
that's why we're saying meh. It's meh.
I've seen it at least maybe 24 times. I've seen it a lot. I've seen all of Star Wars. A lot. I
own the Blu-rays. The 6-film collection on Blu-ray. I actually paid for that when it was $100 back when I had money. And I regret that purchase more than any other purchase that I've ever made because I'd rather have the unedited versions without the singing at Jabba's palace. And, you know, it really does. You watch the edited versions and the special editions, I think they're special editions, that's what they're called, they ruin the movie for you. Like, my Return of the Jedi has Hayden Christensen in it, and it's not an enjoyable... It ruins the movie. It really does for me.
I wouldn't say it ruins the movie.
But you like the prequels.
I am one of the rare that do like the prequels.
That's I can respect that opinion, but I am certainly not going to agree with it, and I am so irritated when one of George Lucas's famous lines was, film projects are never completed, they are abandoned. I like that saying, but not when you apply it to a movie. Finish your movie and release it. Don't go back 30 years after the fact and add in some actor that nobody else liked. Don't ruin the old movie by making it retroactively reference the new movie that came out after it. But it bothers me.
I understand that, but also I
have a lot of issues with Star Wars just in the whole.
I know.
So
okay, so we know how you saw Return of the Jedi. I saw Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I kind of covered
let's go ahead and go
Empire and Jedi at the same time.
Let's go jump into Phantom Menace.
Well, let's talk about... We didn't actually talk about Jedi. I talked about Hayden Christensen. Well,
nothing stands out. We know how you watched it. We know how I watched it.
I watched it.
There's nothing really to talk there.
I rented the movie. I watched it through. Back to back with Empire.
I guess I could talk about how I fell asleep at the end.
Oh no.
So when I was 7,
really?
About 20-30 minutes left in the movie, I was done. I fell asleep.
When did you finish it?
The next day.
Okay.
See, Donnie was my uncle. I stayed over at his place.
No, I know.
So I woke up and he forced me to finish it.
Good.
I'm happy that he did so. But when I went to sleep and woke up, he made me rewatch the whole thing.
Haha.
Shut up.
I feel bad for you, if only for the Ewoks.
I was a 7-year-old with ADHD.
Oh, God.
That had leftover pizza. And sugar. I was not focused.
I didn't like it. First time I saw it, I didn't like it. I
fell asleep in it.
I was irritated. Looking at it now, I am still... This gives me the opportunity to talk about the fact that I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars. At least the original movies. I don't consider myself a fan of the franchise. Because I only really like 2 of the movies. Out of the 6. I'm talking about the 6. All of the new Star Wars movies that have been released that I've seen, Rogue One and A Force Awakens, I love those movies. Those are the Star Wars movies for me. That being said, I don't really like the prequels. I don't pop them in to watch them recreationally. You know? I don't pop in Certainly I don't pop in Phantom Menace, although I have. I've popped in Phantom Menace if only because it's interesting to watch as a film study. And I like Liam Neeson, but I can't consider myself a fan of a franchise when I only like 2/6 of it.
I was the guy, personally, that liked the Phantom Menace in the whole. I was I believe, like 9, 10 when I saw the Phantom Menace. Don't quite remember my age.
We're gonna hop on to Phantom Menace now?
But I was young.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were...
We're still kind of doing Jedi, but we can start to cover Phantom Menace.
I thought we transitioned.
No, we haven't transitioned yet.
Okay, go ahead, then.
As far no, I'm pretty much, that's my point. It's like I didn't really like Jedi, but looking back at it retroactively, it's because some of the actors just did not want to be there.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford didn't want to be there.
No, he was supposed to die.
Carrie Fisher was coked up out of her mind. Mark Hamill's the guy who was really giving it his all, though.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill was there.
You can see
and
it.
Mark Hamill was there in a real way.
He played Guyver. Mark Hamill, Guyver. The first movie,
was he really?
Live action adaptation of it.
Cool.
He played it. Mark Hamill was Guyver.
I didn't know that.
He was Sho Fukamachi.
He was
Mark Hamill is my boy.
He was Joker for me. Just as much my boy.
He's Sho for me. He's my boy. Guyver's my favorite.
That laugh for Mask of the Phantasm, that is the laugh. That is the definitive Joker laugh.
Sideways. Donnie actually showed me Guyver too. They got me into anime. Which, by the way,
sounds like
a 7-year-old should not be watching Guyver.
No, the anime,
There's
no.
blood, nudity, and gore.
Sounds like I owe this guy a lot, though.
We would not be friends if he did not show me this stuff.
Because we met through D&D, and if not for that, we would have never met. So.
Exactly.
But yeah.
The Phantom Menace,
Hold on. Talk a little bit about Jedi. Come on, what stands out to you? I pointed out the fact that I don't like the Ewoks, but nobody really likes the Ewoks because they were literally... This is no paraphrasing. When the Ewoks were introduced, it was stated... It was mandated. You know, we really haven't put out any merchandising that penetrates the stuffed animals aspect of toys. Let's put something in the movie that lends itself to being teddy bears. So when you call the Ewoks little teddy bears, you are literally correct. I'm actually quoting another podcast. They are literally teddy bears because that is the specific reason why they were put into the film, so that we could produce stuffed animals for Star Wars.
Well, when George Lucas pitched the 3 films, or the first film at least, he forgoed all pay and reserved merchandising rights. So I can see why.
Yeah.
We're talking about a man that made millions and millions and millions of dollars off of...
Toys.
Alone.
Yep. But
didn't get a penny from the movies, just the toys.
Yeah, and Jedi, you know, the anything with the Ewoks bothers me. Anything with Carrie Fisher kind of bothers me.
The thing that stood out for me, I will say, is the Force lightning.
Oh yeah, well that sticks out for everybody. That entire scene at the end, that's why you watch the movie.
And I will say this, as a
that
kid,
and the Rebel
I was
battle.
like, can't he just block it?
With the cyber?
Well, I wasn't so much thinking about the lightsaber. I was thinking about, like, you have the Force, too. Can't you block it?
That was before the Force was defined, so makes sense.
Yes, but 7-year-old kid.
That's before...
Sugar,
that was even...
Pizza.
That was before Yoda's hand ate Force lightning later.
And shot it back.
No, he ate... His hand absorbs it and it goes away.
Oh, yeah. Force absorption.
Mm-hmm.
And then he uses, like...
it disappears. I'm not going to give it a name because it's not a power, but it disappears. Yoda eats Force lightning.
It
was a joke, but
and yes, it is.
Oh Lord. But yeah,
talking about a guy with the extended universe memorized.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it initially, but it's certainly better than, in my book, it's certainly better than the prequels. Maybe that's because of the climactic ending. I certainly love the scenes with Vader, Luke, and the Emperor at the end.
Him on Darth Vader and the Pyre got me.
Yeah, that's, well, so iconic. But that's if, frankly, I put that movie in, and all of those moments that I enjoy leading up to that point, and then you look over there and you see Hayden Christensen, it just ruins it for me. Because that's not the movie. It reminds me that it is a movie. And I had a discussion about this when we were talking about Justice League. When a movie does something that reminds me that I'm watching a movie, it ruins the movie.
Yeah,
for me in very, very real way. And I'm like, that's wrong. And I can't concentrate anymore. It takes me out of the moment. It's supposed to be one of the most emotional moments of the trilogy. At the very end. And it just takes me out of it completely.
Fair enough.
But if you don't have anything left to say about Jedi, we can go to Phantom.
There is nothing that stands out for Jedi.
Okay, Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace.
We obviously have not seen any of the original 3 movies in theaters. But we can start discussing which of the prequels have we seen in theaters.
I saw all 3 prequels in theaters.
Okay, I did not see Phantom Menace in the theater.
My dad was very adamant. I had a really rough relationship with my dad, so we went and saw a lot of movies.
It's fair.
And
I wish I could have gotten my dad to go see movies. The only movie I've ever gotten my dad to go see with me was the remake of Halloween. That's not the... Yeah.
I point and laugh at you, kind sir.
Yeah. That's not the movie that... Yeah.
It's like when I went and saw The Mist. I got up at the end,
feel so bad.
Left laughing because the ending was so bad.
I left angry. I'm so mad at the remake of Halloween because I took my dad to see that and it was garbage.
Oh yeah.
It was garbage. And it's the only movie I've ever seen with my dad. So
oh wow.
Yeah.
So the Phantom Menace I saw when it just came out. I believe it was like the opening day too. And I went and saw it.
Did you like it initially?
I sat too close to actually I sat so close because it was so packed.
I have to sit like the third row from the back.
It destroyed my really perception of the movie because literally it was a struggle to watch.
Yeah.
But what I do remember of it is that, first of all, Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn,
is awesome in everything that he does.
Favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
The coolest part of the movie for me is when the battle droids are coming at them and he sticks his lightsaber inside the blast doors. And it melts.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And you see it melt. I'm like, Jedis! It's like, I want a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm. Plus there's that moment where the lightsabers light up in the mist.
Yeah, and it's like...
And you're like, oh, Lord, lightsabers!
Oh, like, you see it? Jar Jar did not bug me. I was a kid.
Of course, even that they ruined. They had that moment where there was the explosion where they blew up the ship, and then the Jedi stand up and they turn on their lightsabers. And then they start to gas them, and they turn their lightsabers off and they pull in a breath. And then the lightsabers turn on in the mist again later, and it's like, you should have saved it! You should have... The first time we should have seen lightsabers in the prequels should have been when they lit up in that mist.
Yeah.
Because that would have been the geek moment, not when they stand up for no reason and turn them on. It's like, you shouldn't be pulling that out. You know? You should not be... No, they're like samurai. They should not be pulling it out just because something rattled a little bit somewhere in another part of the facility.
That's what she said.
When they get gassed and they send droids in to kill them?
Yeah,
that's one thing. Which another thing I thought was pretty cool about the prequels in general were the armies. I like the droids and I like the clones, but Phantom Menace.
I liked the Gungans. Not Jar Jar Binks so much. Jar Jar... I liked him. It didn't bug me. The reason why I like Jar Jar Binks so
awkward silence on my part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Justify that. Go on, because your sister...
My dad could do the voice perfectly.
Your sister said the exact same damn thing earlier. She said, oh, I like Jar Jar Binks. She's 20.
So?
It's not...
Jar Jar didn't bug
I thought
she was... To this day, Jar Jar does not bug me.
I thought she was saying it downstairs. She said her favorite part of Star Wars was the Gungans and Jar Jar. And I thought she was trolling me.
That has to be
I thought she was saying that downstairs to be a joke. Nope, she confirmed it. I asked her about it again later, and she's like, no, seriously, I like Jar Jar Binks. He should have been a Jedi. It would have made him last longer.
Oh my god, I want to put down my own sister.
I almost had an aneurysm. I almost had a moment.
What I'm saying. I am not bugged by him.
Yeah.
I do not want a prethla of him.
I don't like... It's like, I don't like him. He just doesn't bug me.
He can die off and I'd be like, meh. Okay.
To be fair, some of my fondest memories when I was a kid were me quoting Jar Jar Binks coming home from Boy Scout camps. We said going home! I would always... We would do that! Oh my
god, this is gold you're never living down.
I was too young to recognize that...
Doesn't matter.
He was a racist caricature. Which is what people say about Jar Jar and the Gungans, is that they are racist.
I never put it to race.
People say a lot of things in Phantom Menace were very racist. People say the Gungans were very racist. People say that the aliens that invaded Naboo...
Okay.
Were very...
The Federation, yes.
Yes, the, I don't remember the race name.
I don't even...
But the guys who are embargoing Naboo, they say they were Asian racist caricatures. You know, because the way they speak, the puppeteering is off. The way their eyes are, they attribute them to Asian. Badly dubbed Asians at that.
I would like to say, if you're not looking for race in it, like me, this is the first time I've ever heard of that. It's like, Jar Jar was weird, but all the rest of the...
Oh, you've never heard, then, why people don't like the Gungans. People don't like the Gungans because they say they're racist.
I think they're stretching at that point. I don't see it. But that's okay.
That's fair, because
their own point of view.
I don't necessarily see it either. But that's fair.
I will say, in this day and age of this hypersensitivity towards race, which is... bad things are happening.
I mean, some things are unacceptable.
Yes, there are. Like there's absolute racism.
The twins in Revenge of the Fallen were absolutely unacceptable. Like one had they had big ears, and one had like a buck tooth that was a gold tooth.
Oh god.
And they spoke in broken English. It was completely offensive. But the Gungans have a reputation for being very unpopular because, quote, they are racist caricatures. Jar Jar in particular is very, very hated.
I will say I've never actually put any thought to it. I don't go out and try to... I try to enjoy movies.
Yeah.
I try to see... I hope for the best.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I was a movie critic, as everybody keeps hearing. I stopped caring deeper about the movie and just enjoy.
You stop being analytical.
Yes, I just want to enjoy nowadays.
Yeah.
3 years.
That's a good switch. Enough. It's a good switch to have to flip.
It's 3 years. It was going on 3 years. It's just too long.
I don't let that ruin my enjoyment of film either. You know, because I do look at things from the critical standpoint sometimes, and frankly, sometimes things need to be looked at from that angle. But I was able to go into Justice League and enjoy myself thoroughly. And when I was younger, I was able to enjoy the prequels thoroughly until I recognized that they were kind of bad. But frankly, the things that offend me the most in the prequels aren't in Phantom Menace. Everything in Phantom Menace is trying the best it can. The acting...
As I shake my head again.
The cinematography, everything is very good in the Phantom Menace because they didn't know the movie they were making. You know, and then the movie
did the best they could.
The movie came out. I've heard this theory. I think it's on Red Letter Media, where the progression of escalation, where each movie doubles the amount of climaxes that are all happening simultaneously. Which eventually does stop. But, you know, in A New Hope, you have the single starfighter battle.
Yeah.
Then in Empire Strikes Back, you have Vader versus Luke.
Yep.
And then the
Han Solo.
The B-team plot that's also going on. Then in Empire Strikes Back, you have the people on Endor, the space battle, and the Luke-Vader fight.
Yep.
Then in Phantom Menace, you have the Gungans versus droids. You have the space battle with Anakin. You have
Darth Maul.
The Jedi fight with Darth Maul. And what's the fourth one? There's a fourth one.
Invading the palace to get...
Invading the palace with the princess.
Yep.
That's four things all going on simultaneously. Yep. And they threw that out. Like Because that was the point. That was intentional by Lucas. He wanted to progress it. And it just got to the point where there's so much going on.
You can't do it anymore.
And we can't follow it anymore. So they stopped it when they got to clones. But that was certainly a noticeable issue. That was one of the things that Lucas thought was wrong with Phantom Menace. And it's like, that's not what was wrong with Phantom Menace. It was certainly a contributor, having too much going on and not being able to get invested in any one thing, but that wasn't so much the issue. The issue was politics.
Yeah.
And the fact that
space politics still as boring as normal.
What the characters are doing do not make sense.
Yeah.
You know? They do this whole odyssey to Coruscant, only to immediately turn around and come back.
Yeah.
They didn't get any backup from Coruscant. They were just like, let's go to Coruscant, try to get it resolved. And then they don't get it resolved and they come back anyway.
Well,
it's like you could have just stayed. You could have just stayed.
It's the logical decision. It was showing that they tried to be political first. And then
That's not the point. The point is that the only reason they went to Coruscant in the first place was to put Palpatine in power. It's the only reason that happened. The story could have been told a lot more interestingly, in my opinion, if they had stayed on Naboo.
Fair enough.
They could have stayed on Naboo for the whole film. Anakin could be from Naboo. It's Star Wars. You need to go to space.
Yes.
But it would have been, frankly, kind of intriguing if the first prequel for Star Wars all took place on this singular planet. And the most space faring, the most we got out of space was the battle with the fleet at the end. Almost like we're on this planet, we have to break through to get access to the greater Star Wars universe in a way. We have to get through this first... you know what I'm saying?
It could have been done differently, but hindsight is always...
Plus, he wanted to do a Jesus thing with Anakin.
Yeah.
So they had to go Naboo, Tatooine, Coruscant. It was literally like...
connecting the dots.
Let's go plot point, plot point, plot point. Yeah. He had to Lucas had to make it a Jesus thing.
Phantom Menace quite a bit.
We've talked about Star Wars. Ray Park certainly does a great job in this movie. Liam Neeson does a great job in this movie. I feel like the guy who plays Ian McGregor.
Ian McGregor is my man.
He does a great job in all of the movies. Consistently, he's the one who does his best in all of these films. We talk about Jake Lloyd. Anakin.
Yeah.
A lot of people really didn't like Jake Lloyd.
I don't.
Yeah, that's another thing. In the moment when he's driving that pod racer, and he has to pull out he pulls out this device. Like, something comes loose on the pod racer, and he reaches behind him and pulls out this device to grab it.
Qui-Gon Jinn gave him a device.
No.
Oh, we're talking about...
No. He's in the pod racer.
Okay.
And a thing comes loose on the pod racer, and Anakin reaches down and pulls out some sort of rod device to grab a hold of it and put it back, plug it back in. Why doesn't he use the Force? What more of a... Don't you say he doesn't know how to use the Force, because it has been implied in that film that he's using the Force from the very moment he starts.
Okay, I will stop you here. The whole point about the Force, about Force users, is that they don't... A lot of times, they don't even know they're using it.
But he's the chosen one.
It doesn't
Why
matter.
doesn't he reach out? Like, why doesn't he... In a moment of desperation... Why didn't... And I'm criticizing the writing. When they wrote this, why didn't they just have him do it by accident? You know, he reaches out with the Force almost unintentionally. Maybe he has the rod, and he uses the rod, and he thinks he used the rod, but we see, as the audience, that he doesn't use the rod. He uses the Force to plug that thing back in.
It would have been great, but again, hindsight is 2020.
Hindsight is 2020. I'm saying that people knew this was a problem when they were making the movie, and everybody was afraid to tell George Lucas no.
You gotta
Which
tell
is
the man
fair.
with the wallet no, even if he doesn't like it.
It's fair, you know, because he hires co-writers.
Yeah.
You know, later he hired co-writers, and it's like he just hired the people that would agree with him. Why would you do that, George?
Would you disagree with your boss? No. It's understandable.
Anyway, I had to
Clone Wars.
I had to bring that up. It's like he could have, if any time You wanted to use, for an opportunity to show Anakin using the Force inadvertently. Not even know what he's doing. It was that moment. And that sticks out for me even today. It's like, you could have just had him fix the pod racer with the Force. But no, he gets this device thingy to fix it.
The grip extender. Fair
but
enough.
we also, we have to address the fact of the lightsaber fight is probably the best in all of the movies.
Oh, by far. Well,
but more to the fact...
I'd also like to point out that it was the first time that we saw the actual full, like against many platforms fight. It was, it was much bigger than Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, the expanse of the technology.
I mean, it was a 2-on-1 fight with a dude with a really cool lightsaber. Everybody likes Darth Maul. Everybody should like Ray Park, by the way.
Double-sided lightsaber, come on.
And then, there's the issue of Midichlorians and how mad that made everybody.
It doesn't bug me, but again, I grew up with them, so it's just like the first trilogy.
It bugs me more than I can describe, but frankly, anyone listening to this is going to know why it bugs me as much as it does. I almost tried to justify it away. I liked Phantom Menace so much that I even watched, one of the most comprehensible and understandable reviews, quotation marks, that I've seen is the Red Letter Media Phantom Menace review. And he's done all of the prequels. But I was able to justify away a lot of the points that he made while watching that. And my attempt to justify midichlorians was they are what let you use the Force. But even that doesn't... No. It does not hold water.
There's
no
greater
fixing
minds
that.
than us that have tried to sing it away. It's not going to work.
Well, I'm going to start my tally now. Because each movie has something to mention. And my thing to mention for the Phantom Menace is midichlorians. And the fact that they...
exist.
The fact that they're mentioned don't matter. Only come up one time after that. And then wreck established belief around the Force and how it functions.
Yeah.
It basically transforms the Force into a blood disease that is inherited, meaning that being a Jedi is genetic.
Not necessarily.
That has bad implications.
Not necessarily. That is misinformation there.
I'm only going by what I've seen in the movies.
It is not genetic so much as you're born. It's like a certain level of IQ. You have a certain amount in you. It's in everybody. It's in everything. It goes through you. It is you. It binds everybody together.
But it's still
Everybody
the
has
upper.
midichlorians.
It's still the upper.
The amount.
It's still the 1%.
No.
It is.
There's people with everybody has midichlorians, but there's people pop up.
The point is that you cannot
pop up randomly that have midichlorians. It doesn't have to be genetic. It's.
My point is, without the midichlorians, you cannot learn to use the Force.
Yes.
That's my problem with it. It's like there are these select people who are born with this select characteristic who get to be the guys at the very top. You get to have a clubhouse in the capital city planet.
Not anymore.
Well, let's be honest, Star Wars is a constant rise and fall of two different sides that is so redundant that even Luke is like, I'm done.
Gray Jedis need to be a thing. That's my thing. I want Gray Jedis.
I adamantly side with the Greys.
Yes.
But we're talking about Extended Universe. So far as we know right now, we haven't seen the new Star Wars, but we're talking about...
It has Gray Jedi in that's
canon. I call that Expanded Universe.
That's canon.
It's canon because it's currently running.
Expanded Universe...
The only reason it's canon is because it's currently running and they wanted to continue to make a profit off of it.
Yes, but that helped because the Expanded Universe was discarded. But yet, the Star Wars Rebels still counts. So, there are Gray Jedi.
Star Wars Rebels counts for as long as they say it counts.
Give me hope. Give me a new hope!
I'd like to, but I'm not going to with Star Wars. But yeah, so we covered a lot of... We've been covering a lot of Phantom Menace.
Too much!
There's a lot to say about Phantom Menace, but we're going to go ahead and I think we're both ready to move on to Attack of the Clones.
So, Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones!
You don't like this movie.
I hate this movie with a passion. There are a couple of movies in my life that are on a very special tier that make me angry when I watch them. One of which is Terminator Salvation. One of which is...
a movie I love.
I hate Terminator Salvation. One of which is Attack of the Clones.
I like this movie.
This movie bothers me, but go ahead and explain why you like it so I can tear you down!
We are very similar, yet very different. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, we're very similar, but, like, certainly we have different opinions on Star Wars.
Yes.
I'm the Star Trek guy.
First of all, I'm biased. I absolutely had the biggest crush on Natalie Portman.
I'm sorry.
No, I still do.
I like Natalie Portman. I don't like her in this movie.
Also,
this is the problem. This is why I hate the movie. This is what I was talking about.
I love bad romances. Where
I don't know what that is.
A bad romance is not like a romance that has an end, but it seems like it's been forced. And it's just...
Oh my God.
I get like this... Like how you like horror movies, I love bad romance.
Do go on, because you're talking about why I hate these movies.
I love romances that are just like, it seems forced, but has just enough to where you can believe it. And to me, this doesn't.
To me.
To me, it does. Because think about... This is Revenge of the Sith.
They're not acting...
So if you want to... I will finish this explanation in Revenge of the Sith.
No, we can talk about this now.
Okay.
Because this is my problem with the movies. What I was talking about in Phantom Menace, that when I said what was in Phantom Menace, I like Phantom Menace more than the others because what I hate about the prequels isn't in that.
Okay.
It is the relationship between Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman. It hurts me to watch that on screen.
Okay. So
it makes me physically uncomfortable.
A lot of people don't like Hayden Christensen because they say he can't act. He's a great actor.
No, he's fine. I've seen Life as a House. He's great.
It's shit writing.
No. Let me be very clear about this. It is the fact that George Lucas does not direct his actors.
That's what I'm saying.
At all.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so I said it wrong. It's horrible management.
Yeah.
Very horrible. Horrible management.
But
here's the thing. Let me
go ahead.
this line of thought.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when Padme tells Hayden Christensen, Anakin, that she's pregnant, he goes through all the emotions on his face, and it is the best part of his acting I've ever seen.
It's a good moment.
And in that movie, you see him actually act. Because his transference to the dark side, how he looked, how he portrayed it, was brilliant.
He's certainly better in Revenge of the Sith.
But that
Attack of the Clones is what bothers me.
That moment...
There are terrible moments in Revenge of the Sith.
That moment when Padme tells Anakin that she's pregnant, and he goes through all those emotions, only solidified that it was a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Wait, all that solidified that what was a possibility?
A romance between the two. Like, that's viable.
They're already married at that point.
I know, but it makes it to a point where it's like, it's believable that they would have a thing.
Yeah, there are... I'm trying very desperately to think of a moment. There is a moment where...
There's creepy stalking
in Attack of the...
with the pair.
Oh, don't even get me started. He is a stalker.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he should be playing the song Creep in the background all the time.
10 years older than him?
She's a bit older than him. I'm not sure what the implication was there.
It's like 10 years.
The whole thing was there was Anakin was initially planned to be cast older. Actually, there was a very good kid who came in to audition for Anakin who was great, and he was older. And Lucas says, but for two reasons in Phantom Menace, he says, one, I want him to be younger because I feel like him leaving his mother wouldn't upset him as much if he were older. So I feel like he should be younger so that it would upset him more. Which is stupid!
Yeah.
It is it's like, it's not that doesn't... It's not how old he is, George. It's that's retarded. And it is.
Yes.
But he also wanted to make him younger because he wanted a real kid. He did not cast the kid who came in and gave a great performance because his justification was...
Needs to be younger.
He needs to be more like a real kid.
Wow.
This kid was a great actor, and Lucas said nah, I want more of a real... It's like, real kids can't act, George.
Yeah.
It's like, real kids kind of suck.
For an example.
real kids kind of suck. But yeah, there was another kid who came into audition, and
that's a shame.
George turned him down because
I want a real boy.
Real dumb reasons, frankly. But what were we talking about? Attack of the Clones and
the viability
of their relationship. There's a moment in Attack of the Clones where Padme says, "I'm going to go help Obi-Wan." And Anakin has this, where she just kind of walks away from him, and Anakin has this moment where he grins.
Yeah. And
I'm like, that's the one time I buy it.
That was the other thing I was going to say. That, and when they're going into the Colosseum, they're tied up, and she's like, if I'm going to die, I am going to tell you I do have feelings.
I don't know about that, but in my copy of Attack of the Clones, the movie always glitched right at that moment.
Okay, so no, at that moment, she's like, if we're going to die here, which is a high possibility, I'm going to let you know.
Love you. And I'm like, shut. I don't believe it. I don't believe them. And it hurts me to watch them act together. They have no chemistry. And it's not really their fault. They're both great actors. I've seen Natalie Portman do all kinds of breathtaking acting.
Yeah, very much so.
And the problem was they weren't being directed.
They were given a script and said, act.
Yes.
Which is not how that
You notice the only people who really do a good job are the older actors who know how to act.
Already.
Yeah.
And have experience. Like Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, Qui-Gon... Liam Neeson. Oh, man.
Sauron.
Christopher Lee. The guy that plays the Emperor.
Yeah.
Who, frankly, he gives it his all in Revenge of the Sith. Until he becomes the Emperor.
And then loses his stuff.
He flips his lid and becomes this cartoon villain. And it's just... It was honestly kind of great, because he did this really super overdramatic performance. And then he becomes a cartoon at the end of the movie, and I'm like, you just matched the rest of this trilogy. Good job.
Yep.
You know what you're doing. He knew what he was doing.
Great acting.
He knew what he was doing. But once he got the makeup on him, he was like,
one of my favorite things is
I'm done trying.
Samuel Jackson's like, I want a purple lightsaber.
Sam Jackson was bored.
He got a purple lightsaber.
Sam Jackson... Sorry, I just took a drink. Sam Jackson looked like he was angry to be there.
He enjoyed it, though. He even
really?
Said, Lucas... He
was in 3 movies and didn't do anything. I thought he'd be mad.
Here's the thing. He's still alive. There's a big possibility because Samuel Jackson...
I prescribe to that theory, but I don't really care.
About saying... he had a conversation with Lucas, and Lucas is like, he could be alive right now if you want him to be. You could be in a movie. We could fit you in. That happened.
That was still when Lucas had control over it?
Yeah. But still,
yeah.
The fact that it's a possibility he's still alive makes my day.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Sam Jackson. Not a big fan of Mace Windu. Outside of, like, he had some cool moments in Clone Wars, but again, he's there for 3 movies and doesn't do anything.
Oh, by the way, Boba Fett, I've never seen Boba Fett do anything cool.
No, Boba Fett didn't do anything. Jango Fett didn't do anything.
So why is he such a big thing?
He looked cool. And he caught Han Solo.
Oh, I caught the guy that came to me.
No, it's dumb. Don't misunderstand.
It bugs me.
Yeah, it bugs everyone
who thinks
about it. If you're gonna
be held up as an icon of awesome, do something.
Yeah.
Darth Maul was cooler.
Darth Maul fought 2 Jedi and killed one.
Exactly.
He had a cool ship and a cool land speeder.
And he was only an apprentice. Imagine if he actually got promoted to...
But yes, Attack of the Clones annoys me so much. I cannot sit down and watch Attack of the Clones without getting irritated.
It's fair enough.
Like, there's the moment where he tells her that he commits genocide.
Yeah.
And she makes the decision to comfort him.
Instead of step away.
Yeah. That's... I'm not going to say that it's a bad moment. I'm not going to say it's a good moment. I go on the fence as far as... I go back and forth between I like that moment and I dislike that moment. Cause
it's a good moment. It's realistic if it's real deep, deep love.
Well, there's a genuine connection between them in that moment where I am making the decision to comfort you as opposed to being horrified by the fact that you just committed genocide.
Well, again, you see him later, so you know he didn't kill everyone. He just destroyed a village. I'm not defending his action.
He wiped out the tribe. That's genocide.
Genocide.
Because the sand people are groups of they're tribes of different sand people. He wiped out that tribe, which it's akin to genocide. It is.
All I'm arguing is that genocide is not the proper word, because there's a proper word for destroying a clan, and then there's genocide, which is a whole race. It is different.
What? I wouldn't know the word.
I don't know either. But I'm
using the word genocide, and I feel like it's appropriate here.
He wiped out a clan, not a race. So
there is no defending Anakin Skywalker.
I'm not defending him. I'm
just saying
semantics here. I'm not talking about defending him.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say that right now. It's like there is no defending Anakin Skywalker.
I'm not defending that with a 50-foot pole.
Because frankly, people are like, yeah, Darth Vader is one of the most, like, hardcore, like, villains. One of the I want to say a word I can't use. They call him one of the big honchos. You know, like, as far as the coolest bad guys that have ever been.
Yeah.
There's a word I wanted to say, but I couldn't say it. Starts with bad, ends with an S.
Bad donkeys.
Yes,
ever.
Bad donkeys. Is exactly, yes. But and he's just not as a result of the prequels. He is a whiny crybaby. In a black suit. He's an emo kid who kills children.
I will agree that the prequels did undermine Darth Vader's awesomeness.
Hoi, oi, oi. Let's, but yeah, my main point was...
We basically here just covered the second movie.
Attack of the Clones.
And
we're pretty much done.
Majority of...
My problems with Attack of the Clones are the acting, specifically the lack of chemistry between Anakin and Padme, and the fact that it is just painful to watch them on screen together. It is.
Fair enough.
Ian McGregor gives his all.
Oh, yeah.
Ewan McGregor gives his all as far as acting. Again, Ewan McGregor, consistently the best thing in these movies. But let's go ahead and move on to Revenge of the Sith, and that will wrap up our main discussion topic. Revenge of the Sith! I also did not see Attack of the Clones in the theaters.
I've seen all three prequels in the theaters.
I have not.
Attack of the Sith.
Revenge.
Ian McGregor.
Ewan
McGregor.
It's Revenge of the Sith and Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. What did I say?
Ian. I said Ian a minute ago, too.
Revenge of the Sith?
You said Attack of the Sith. Yeah, it's Revenge of the Sith.
Attack of the Sith!
I feel Revenge of the Sith is actually the most tolerable of the movies.
It is a good movie.
It lacks a climactic space fight, but so do all of the prequels.
Best part of that movie.
Yeah. He's great as Obi-Wan.
Padme should not, spoilers, die because of a broken heart.
Oh.
That almost ruined the movie for me.
I am legitimately hands, because I had forgotten about that.
He double face palmed.
I had forgotten about that until you said that. I'm legitimately face down in both of my hands, remembering that.
She's lost the will to live.
Oh!
Yeah, talk about the worst.
Yeah.
I don't like
this
the third movie
completely unconvincing romance that was set up in the last movie has one of them dying of a broken heart.
Like a hummingbird. No. Just no. But I have the higher ground, Anakin. You underestimate my power.
I don't know.
No.
Or I know exactly what you're going to do because I did it with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
That's the exact same. Darth Maul had the higher ground. Obi-Wan got up there and he just chopped at him and there you go. Which apparently he survived.
Yep. In the extended universe.
Everybody listen to me very carefully. The fact that Darth Maul survived getting cut in half with a lightsaber is stupid.
Not necessarily. He's an alien race, and also
it is stupid.
The blade would cauterize the wound, so he could live.
It's stupid.
No.
It's stupid,
I
Corey.
reject your reality! I will substitute it with my own.
Darth Maul's cool, and the only reason they didn't want him dead was because he's one of the cool things.
The only
one of the only cool things that we liked about the prequels, and that's why they wanted him to still be alive.
The only thing better was Darth Maul with robot legs.
I think the Lego minifig of that is kind of cool looking. the Darth Maul with robot legs minifig.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Revenge of the Sith. She died from sadness.
I have nothing to say about this movie.
You have nothing to say about this movie?
I actually do not like this movie very much.
I like this movie moderately. I feel like if you're going to watch...
It's the worst of the prequels to me.
If you want a prequel, Attack of the Clones is the worst of them for me. But Attack of the Clones also makes very little structural sense. If you want a prequel, just watch Revenge of the Sith.
I say Phantom Menace. That's mine.
But if you watch Phantom Menace, it doesn't make any sense to go from Phantom Menace directly into Star Wars.
No, I'm saying start 4, 5, 6, but as the prequels.
I can watch 4, 5, and 6 and then go back and watch Phantom Menace. I mean, not Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, but I'm saying I'm saying you should watch them, but if you're going to watch a prequel and not worry about the story so much as just a good Star Wars movie, it's Phantom Menace.
There are a lot of one of my primary issues with... If you don't like it, then you can gripe at it with me. One of my primary problems with this movie is the fact that they have Obi-Wan leave just because they can't have him be there for Anakin.
No, yeah.
When he's doing the bad stuff.
No,
but all three of those movies are completely full of that.
Yeah.
They literally write in a reason why, and Obi-Wan literally cannot be here because he would stop Anakin from doing this dumb thing.
Yep.
So we have to create a villain in the form of General Grievous so that Obi-Wan can go hunt somebody down and not be there. That's the only purpose for General Grievous, despite him being kind of awesome. It's the only reason General Grievous is there. It's the only reason he was invented in the first place. That, and I think Lucas had the idea of him spinning those sabers and thought that would be really cool looking. But, General Grievous is pointless. The guy that plays the Emperor loses his top hat once he gets the makeup on and becomes a cartoon.
And that wraps up the Revenge of the Sith.
Stop!
I know. I'm just saying, there's not much to talk about this movie.
I like it! There are such painful moments in it between Anakin and Padme again.
Yes.
They destroy Vader in this movie.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's I don't like this movie very much. I like certain points in it.
They make Vader a female dog.
And he loses his stuffing. He just loses it.
He has a moment, and it's kind of a believable moment when she tells him that. But they turn Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader's not in this movie.
No.
That's something I've heard someone say before. It's Darth Vader's not really here. The Darth Vader we know is not really here. Not even up until the very end, because I heard a comparison made once, and I think it's worth mentioning here. By someone who's very involved in Star Wars fan films and the like, where they compare it to David Prowse, who was the guy who played Darth Vader physically. He was a bodybuilder. Yep. And one of the first things that Hayden Christensen in the Darth Vader outfit does is he walks onto the bridge of the Star Destroyer.
And crosses his arms.
He crosses his arms. He walks up next to the Emperor and he crosses his arms. David Prowse could not physically do that.
No,
not in the suit, but also because his arms were so large because he is a bodybuilder. Darth Vader in the original 3 movies could not cross his arms physically, so they were always on his hips or on the belt buckle. And the first thing Hayden Christensen does is he walks up next to the Emperor and he crosses his arms.
Yep.
That's not Darth Vader.
I agree.
It's just not. It's not. But I still feel that this movie has merit as far as watching it. There's a lot of really pretty visuals, a lot of interesting fight scenes. Frankly, the The fight scene between the Jedi and Grievous on the ship is a really good fight scene. Frankly, all of the very first act of the movie until they land the ship after the space fight is really good. I love the ARC 170 fighter design, but I like the Star Wars prequel ship designs.
Yes, they're
especially the
amazing.
Nabooian. The Naboo ships, like the first one's like a it's like an SR-71 but in silver. It's really cool looking. But I like the ARC 170, which is a precursor to an X-Wing that takes 3 people to pilot plus a droid and has 6 wings.
Oh yeah.
It's a cool ship design.
I like the Y-Wing.
Yeah, the bomber.
Yeah.
That's supposed to have more armor on it.
Yeah, it's supposed to. It's supposed to be massive.
But you don't have anything else to say about Revenge of the Sith?
Pad-1 genocide.
Huh, Padawan, yeah. The only thing Darth Vader ever does is kill a bunch of children.
It's not our Darth Vader. It's not.
There. Darth Vader's barely my Darth Vader. You know? Because
it's not the Darth Vader.
Yeah. It's not the Darth Vader we want. Certainly might
not
be
the one we need.
It might be the one we deserve.
Humans, enough said.
But yeah, it turns Darth Vader into a female dog.
Oh yeah, he's not who he's supposed to be.
Ewan McGregor does a great job. There's a lot of really terrible justifications for things, like wiping C-3PO's memory. R2-D2 remembers everything from the prequels.
Oh,
and
God.
It's just... And then they... Alright, here's the thing, because I forgot to mention it for Attack of the Clones. Jedi Master Sifo Dyas never comes up again.
No, never.
Jedi Master Sifo Dyas is brought up as the guy who implemented the creation of the clone army. He is the one responsible for the creation of the army. And it is never addressed again. He is never brought up again. It is never explained. If that's an alias for somebody, if that was genuinely somebody, if somebody waited till that guy died and then used his name to create it because there was a guy. I had a theory. I was trying to justify it. And I'm like, maybe it was Qui-Gon? But that doesn't make any sense.
I believe it was Emperor Palpatine.
It was certainly Emperor Palpatine, and I don't know exactly how it was done, but that was the thing in Attack of the Clones was Jedi Master Sifo Dyas is not addressed and does not
get addressed
or explained. And there's one of those things for each movie. And the one dimension in Revenge of the Sith is the fact that out of nowhere, at the end of the movie, Yoda tells Obi-Wan that Qui-Gon Jinn has become an immortal Force ghost and wants to talk to him? Out of nowhere! The Force ghost thing comes out of complete nowhere. You know why? Yeah, DK has this look on his face like, oh, you're, holy crap, you're right.
No,
He's got this look on his face. It's literally because George Lucas forgot to mention it. George Lucas forgot to explain the fact that Qui-Gon was a Force ghost and forgot to explain how Obi-Wan knew how to become a Force ghost. Okay. So he literally threw it in the last 5 minutes. The exact same thing is true for C-3PO having his memory wiped. People had to point out to George Lucas, hey George, you know C-3PO would know all of this, right? You know what his reaction was?
What?
Oh crap. That was his literal reaction when somebody pointed out the continuity of, C-3PO would probably point out that Anakin is Luke's dad, right? Oh, crap. And then he fixed it in the last 5 minutes of Revenge of the Sith. He fixed it. But the three things that drive me crazy about the prequels, each movie has one. Midichlorians, Master Sifo Dyas, and Force ghosts. That are not explained, elaborated on, or matter. Beyond, hey, let's mention this.
Hand wavy,
yes. Oh, Lord. Force ghosts.
Ooh.
I'm actually surprised. I had assumed that you would like Revenge of the Sith, since you kind of like the prequels.
Not very
But I
much.
find it interesting that the one that you don't like is the one that everybody seems to agree is tolerable.
I don't like as much as the other ones. I don't see the appeal.
Okay, that's fair. So let's do a thing.
Okay.
To wrap up the main discussion. Let's rank them. The 6 movies, rank them in order to our favorites to least favorites. So yeah, you go first.
Okay, so Empire Strikes Back, Phantom Menace, A New Hope.
Oh wow, really? Phantom Menace.
Jedi
You like
Returns.
Phantom Menace before A New Hope?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it's Empire Strikes Back, Phantom Menace, New Hope, Jedi Returns.
Wow. Highly controversial order.
Yep. Very.
Wow. Okay. Don't send us hate mail, or send us hate mail.
It's just my personal preference.
It's okay.
It's okay.
People
has changed over the years.
Yeah. I can appreciate Phantom Menace. I went through a phase where I really did not like Phantom Menace, but somebody pointed out that Phantom Menace is different enough from Star Wars, like the rest of the movies, that you can almost divorce it entirely from Star Wars.
Let me put it this way.
And watch it like as a made-for-TV sci-fi movie, which I can do.
Qui-Gon Jinn is my favorite Star Wars character, period.
I am exactly the same as you. Qui-Gon is my guy.
He is my favorite character, above Luke, above Rey, above period. He is my favorite.
Yeah, I'm not really thinking about the new movies. I couldn't say if I have a favorite character. I like Poe. I like Poe a lot.
No, I'm just saying that.
But I'm not talking about we're not talking about the new movies. We're just talking about the 6 that everybody else knows.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a later episode where we discuss, hopefully, the 3 latest Star Wars movies.
Yes, very much so.
It might be right after we see. That'll probably be our debrief.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have an in-between episode where we discuss the 2 movies prior, and then have a whole episode which is our debrief of The Last Jedi.
Most likely debrief, then we'll talk about the rest.
Cool, I'm up. So, I'm up for it, I meant.
Now your turn.
Oh boy. Star Wars? Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
I despise Attack of the Clones. I can tolerate Phantom Menace. And, frankly, Revenge of the Sith doesn't bug me as much as it does some people. I can sit down and watch Revenge of the Sith and enjoy it.
That's good.
It's a lot more than some people can say for some of these movies. Some people despise all 3 of them. I do not. So, that was our personal histories with Star Wars, as well as what essentially amounts to an in-depth Star Wars discussion between we here at NerdDum.
NerdDum.
Listen, I used to...
NerdDum.
You dumb, man. You dumb. Anyway.
Random weirdness.
Welcome to Levels of Ridiculous, folks. But that will wrap up our main discussion topic. And we can go ahead and move into our listener question. Which is... Do you have... You as in DK and myself... Do you have any OCs, which stands for Original Characters, and if so, which ones are your favorites? Now you can go ahead and start us off.
Okay, so my 3 OCs are from a book I was writing that all my files and my backup files and all my backup files got deleted. And I was so mad because I got halfway through a book.
Did your whole computer crash?
Book. My computer crashed. My flash drives got washed in the washing machine.
Oh my gosh!
Never got fixed.
Oh my gosh!
The one I had at school was no longer there because they wiped all the computers because they're changing systems or something.
That's a nightmare.
So, a year.
I can imagine you checking each spot. I can imagine you being like, "Oh no, I lost it on the computer," and then you go through the thumb drives. And you're like, "Oh no, I lost some thumb drives." And then it's like, "Oh, I might be able to go to school, and I might still have a copy there." Nope.
Yeah,
I can imagine the breaking down.
It was about a year of writing.
Because I'm a writer and I know what that's like.
I was like 600 pages in.
Oh my gosh!
I was halfway through a book. It was, and what I was doing was I was writing it and proofing it and rechecking and backtracing and doing everything as I went.
Oh.
So that half of the book was ready.
Oh.
It was spell checked.
Uh-huh.
It was the canon was checked. The names were checked. I had a glossary. I had everything ready. I was halfway through. I was like, and I had exactly what was going to happen, and then boom. And I decided I'm not writing it again. That was a year of my life. I'm not getting back. But my main guy was
face palming so hard.
My main guy was David Zarok. In my book, God had a brother.
Okay.
Death was his brother.
Okay.
Older brother.
Okay.
Death had a kid. Because God was life. Death was the end of life.
Right. Alpha and Omega.
Yin and yang. David Zarok was the son of Death.
Okay.
He had the first blade, which was a stone blade. And he had the first shield, which was a stone shield. And the special nature was that angelic beings could not be cut by mortals or magical things. The first blade could cut anything. Period. Except for the first shield.
Okay.
The first shield could defend against anything, even the knife. Even the first sword. And my main thing was that the reason why they were so powerful is because it was men's first creation.
Man's first creation?
Man's first creation that came from men. Fire
okay,
was
so it's like our first tool.
our first real tool that we used, that we made with a known purpose.
Right.
Because there was fire, and then there was a blade.
Pretty cool premise.
And
like before we even made the wheel, we thought to make our weaponry.
Exactly what it is.
That's kind of
And
that's sad / tragic / poetic.
Blade and first shield were indestructible, and they were an unstoppable force and an immovable object, essentially.
Cool. I love that.
But the immovable object outpowered the unstoppable blade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Zorok, or should I say David, was the only person that could use it, because no godly creature could pick it up, because it was immortal. They couldn't intervene.
Right.
But he was half godly and half angelic to a degree. He was
Nephilim.
He was a Nephilim / god.
Yeah, they're called, like...
He was a primordial Nephilim.
Is he the son of an angel?
No, he was the son of an angel and the son of death.
That's not a Nephilim.
No,
Nephilim are half angels.
I had a special name for him in the book. I could not remember it. I've tried to.
I had
4 years ago.
I had like 20 minutes. I mean, I'm not one to talk because I had 20 minutes where I was trying just to remember the names of my OCs that I like so much that it's been so long since I thought about them. I could not remember their names.
Okay, so fair enough. But so that's David, and he was well defined. He was essentially
For the listeners' sake. Sorry to interrupt, but for the listeners' sake. Original characters are characters which we have created. We've actually expelled. We've excluded Dungeons & Dragons characters.
Yes.
Because original characters we are defining as characters who we have created for stories that we have invented in our own minds or have written, as far as like short stories, or at least for stories that we've made up in our own heads. So, for those who don't know what an OC / original character is, it is a character that we have all made up in our own minds.
Yes.
Which can, like, frankly, OCs can be attributed to existing fiction.
Yes.
Like, hey, I made an OC for Naruto.
Well,
Something like that. And it's like, I created a character that exists in this story's universe. But we're talking about things that we've made for our own stories that we have made up.
In my world that I made, that there was lesser gods made by God.
Yeah.
There was
Cool.
Norse mythology and the Greek mythology. The
Cool.
Pantheon was all there. And he had essentially, David Zarok found out what he was.
Was he living as a mortal?
He was living as a mortal. He didn't know what he was.
Okay.
Death was hiding him from God.
Okay.
It's forbidden.
For him
God
to have a
and death
child.
should not have a kid.
Right.
It's one of the things they agreed on.
Okay.
Happened to have a kid. God was angry. And he would be, at least. But, so that he was living as a mortal, and he found out he didn't even know he was not mortal. He had a childhood friend named Tabby, or Tabitha Cornwell.
I ironically also have it's not on my list, but I have an original character who's also named Tabby. Also named Tabitha.
Tabby Cornwell was unique. She is a Finra.
Okay. As far as, like, the Norse mythology?
Yes, she is a Finra.
Okay.
Because there's more than one. Not just Loki's kid.
Right.
But there's Finra, a race. She is the alpha Finra. That when David was put on the planet and started to grow, because gods grow to a maturity and then they stay that age, she was instinctually compelled to go to him and serve him. But she took human form.
Is this another one of yours?
Yes, this is my secondary.
Okay, then just do all three and then we'll cut to me.
Tabby was a goth girl that wore knee-high pink and black socks, dress shoes, a skirt that was black and pink. She liked black and pink a lot. Black hair, pink and purple stride through it. Very
up to the hair. I was picturing the girl from Clifford the Big Red Dog.
No.
She wears pink and black and thigh-high socks.
and at this point, they're like 17.
Uh-huh.
So they're almost full adults. And she's just infatuated with him. But not romantic-wise. Like, it's like complete loyalty.
Such an anime setup. Was she given the job to watch him?
No.
Okay, so they just end up together by pure chance.
No, her instincts told her, as the alpha of Finra, to come to him.
Oh, okay.
Her instincts as
that is at least
canine said, I need to go to him.
That is at least a justification. Anime doesn't even bother with stuff like that. It just, hey, we end up in the same room.
My justification was that as soon as he was put on the planet, she, being on the planet, being part of divinity herself, and being the peak divinity, the Finra that all come from, she's like, I have to go to him.
Things like that attract
she didn't even know why.
I like that. I like that when you have these things together, they attract each other.
Yes.
Like, just via a pure fate mechanic of these things are going to find each other. It's kind of like a Highlander thing. It's like, no matter what you do, you're gonna meet. You're gonna run into each other. That's just how this works. It's the only way this can work.
And that's how Tabby was. She was just like, instinctually, I need to be with him.
Yeah.
And it's not romance. It was never going to be romance. It was quite literally loyalty.
Uh-huh.
True loyalty. They cared for each other deeply, but they were.
I prefer that. I prefer that to romance.
Family. And then there was my third character that was part of the group.
They're all from the same story.
Yeah, all.
That's cool. All right, mine are from different ones, but that's
Rupert Douglas.
Rupert.
Okay. He's a jock.
Okay.
Complete jerk.
Don't like him.
Got his butt kicked by David.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately became bottom totem pole, and he started getting picked on, and then David defended him, and they became friends in a roundabout way, and
kind of like that.
Rupert, it was the head jock. He was the quarterback, but here's the thing: he's not honest with his feelings.
Go on.
He is a man tsundere.
Okay.
I've never seen that. He was that.
He is a male tsundere.
Yes.
Okay, for the listeners at home, describe what a tsundere is.
A tsundere is someone that is not honest with their feelings to the point where they could be completely happy you did something, but they'll tell you, it's not like I wanted that to happen anyways.
Yeah. They are almost to the point of being...
They're putting on a facade.
They're putting on a facade, but they're also extraordinarily rude to people that they like.
Yes.
They even if they really like you, they're going to treat you like a piece of garbage.
Exactly.
But every once in a while, they'll be nice to you.
David looked like, and it's going to get deep
I know some people like that.
David looked like Rupert's dead brother.
Deep.
Like I said, it was going to get deep.
All right.
His brother passed away in a car wreck, hit in a ravine, went in the water, drowned.
Gotcha.
And his mom. So,
Might
very
be.
abusive relationship between Rupert and his dad. Rupert's like, he likes
Sounds like
David because he sounds like he reminds him of his brother.
Sounds
So
like
he's
I like this guy more
jerk.
than I like the main character.
He's a complete jerk to David.
I went from hating this guy to loving this guy.
I know.
Would you?
600 pages, man.
I'm sorry.
His story was developed to the T.
Did you write from his POV?
Yes, I had.
Good.
I had cuts to
Good.
where I had ones where it was tabby, and I had cuts where it literally said POV change, Rupert.
That's
POV
how
change,
how
tabby.
you do that. You can't have characters like that and have them come across correctly unless you go from their POV.
I had his home life well developed, and I had all this, and actually Rupert.
I like the name too.
Rupert?
Yeah.
I never heard. I came up with that name because I actually fell and hit my head. I was trying to say Rufus or something like that, Rufus, and they came up Rupert. I'm like, I like Rupert.
Hey, that's a good name.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I go get this concussion ushin fixed.
Very much like a Doc Brown scenario. I hit my head and it happy accident.
Don't worry, I don't think I had any brain damage. Ow! I actually did just hit my face there, listeners. I didn't just clap. I hit myself in the face, so...
But Rupert
dedication to my art. But go ahead.
You find out later that he's a psychic. To a degree. He's not normal. And that's why another reason why he was pulled towards David. And actually, since I'm never going to write this book, Rupert was actually able to pick up the shield.
I like that.
But only to defend David.
That's cool.
Because
I like that.
It's
kind of like the thing you touched on in the Captain America fun facts thing. It's like he can't pick up the hammer, Thor's hammer, unless he's in combat because that's the only time that he's pure.
Exactly. And what I had was that it's supposed to be like only true divinity can pick up these two things, and yet they can't intervene, so they can't pick up these two things.
Huh.
Because the human that made them it was like imprinted on them, like his soul went into them, and the only thing that can pick up a soul is true divinity, not even an angel, or a lesser god. It had to be true divinity. They're the only ones that can manipulate souls. So the shield and his sword actually have souls forged with it.
I like that.
But here's the thing:
I love sentient weapons.
Rupert became so pure when he wanted to just sacrifice himself to save David, that he picked up the shield and defended him, and that was a key point.
That's really that's such a poetic thing to do, to take a bully, bring him down to zero, build him back up as someone that you not only like but you're rooting for, and then have the bully take up the defensive stance.
And multiple times, David's had his
sword. The bully
sword.
Picks up the shield. That's great.
But
I love that.
But multiple times he tried to pick up the sword that got flung out of David's hand to help David, but he couldn't pick up the sword.
Yeah.
Every single time. It happened 3-4
He would be the
times.
wrong guy.
And
he would be the wrong guy to hold the sword.
Instead of the sword, he was like, I don't need that, I need this.
Yeah.
And his soul was so pure. In that just brief moment, he defended David, saved his life.
I like that a lot. I would love this guy.
I had 600 pages done. It was only going to be 2-book series.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I have not managed to lose any mass amount of data like that before, outside of like maybe a gaming save file. But I know the feeling, man. That's.
It was painful.
It's like imagine losing your memory card for PlayStation 2.
Imagine putting your life on hold for a year to write a book.
Yeah.
Get half of it done. And guys, keep in mind, I am dyslexic. I am horrible at writing, and I spent such dedication. This was up to past college level writing. I put my life into this. I'm not a very good writer, grammar-wise, and all punctuation, all that stuff. I got it done.
Yeah.
I put it into...
Oh, yeah.
In Word, it was like, no checks. Everything was
good.
I was like, I double-checked, triple-checked, and quadruple-checked everything.
Yep.
Gone. It hurt.
Oh.
You would read that story.
I'd read that story? Heck yeah! I'd read that story right now. If only for Rupert. I like that. I like the way that character sounds. It's like you take someone... Because they did that in Stranger Things, too. I like characters like that, where they take characters that you hate. Those are my favorite characters.
You break them down and make them gold.
I hate... Like, those are my favorite characters in fiction. The characters who start out as villains and then become your best allies. You know? They did that in Pirates. It's one of the reasons why I like the Pirates movies so much, is because the bad guys from the first movie end up being some of the most necessary asset allies in the last movies.
Yes, exactly.
Pirates is just the most simple example. There are plenty of better examples of that in fiction.
I believe it is your turn.
Okay.
I don't want to...
I'm going to have to do these three in order.
Talking about this is actually hurting me, so...
I'm sorry.
It's okay. The physical pain, man.
But let's see. Mine aren't nearly as interesting as that. I'm going to start with Leyland Wright.
Okay.
Who is the character who I initially designed to be the main protagonist in the stories that were going to be my ongoing, like, children's series.
Okay.
Not so much a children's series as, like, a young adult series of books. Leyland is a paranormal investigator who... This is where my Tabitha also comes from. Her name is Tabitha Hale, and she is a student at a private school. Like one of those really illustrious private schools.
Top tier.
Yeah. Private high school. And one of the students at her school dies. And naturally, being such an uptight institution, they keep a tight lid on what's happening. But Tabby was very close with this student. So when she died, it massively affected Tabitha's ability to study. She starts falling asleep in class on purpose. And then Leyland, who is actually the character I'm talking about, he arrives at her school, and he is this weird... He's really tall. He's really pale. He wears very, like, fitted clothing, except for the fact that he wears Hawaiian shirts that are like 3 sizes too big. he does. Tabby wears hoodies, but the sleeves are obviously way too long on her. But Leyland wears, basically underneath the Hawaiian shirt, he has a very tight black t-shirt and then black pants, black shoes. Very, very practical clothing. And the reason why he doesn't go super crazy with his outfits, besides the Hawaiian shirts, which frankly is only because he kind of likes ponchos, and that makes him feel like he's wearing one, is because Leyland is a corpse.
Oh, wow.
Leyland is an entity called a revenant. Revenants are beings who have returned from the dead through their own force of will.
Yep.
So, I'm not going to give up too much as far as my stories, because I still might write them someday. But Leyland Wright is a paranormal investigator who is, in fact, a walking corpse. Who, because he's dead, he's had plenty of time to practice sorcery. There are some magics which are beyond his reach, the kind that use personal life force and mana, because he lacks those things. But he has access to sorcery and different types of spell casting that don't require him to be alive. Just require, like, incantations and hand movements, stuff like that. He's a paranormal investigator who recruits Tabitha to be his apprentice because he notices that something's not quite right about the girl. His weapon of choice is a silver pry bar. Because he's a zombie, essentially. Revenants are no longer held to the same standard of strength that humans are.
Yes.
They can...
Essentially, limiters off.
Yeah. It is literally that. It is limiters are turned off. They can destroy their bodies because he regenerates at a rapid rate, his muscles are just going to go back. So he can...
And revenants don't feel pain.
He can do things that literally make his muscles or limbs explode. And they'll grow back. I go back and forth on whether or not he feels pain. It's one of the undetermined aspects of the character so far. And he's got a lot of interesting stuff going on, like the only way to truly kill a revenant is to destroy the heart.
Okay.
And he's actually removed his heart and magically encased it in a protective coating. And left it somewhere else. So you can't kill him.
Unless you did find it.
Leyland is the character who helped me explore the idea that when you're immortal and you live for 2,000 years, odds are you're going to go insane a couple of times and then come back from that.
Fair enough.
So it's I've always loved the psychology of you're immortal. How does that affect your mind? If you still have a mortal mind, how does that affect you? And if you live for 2,000 years, odds are every couple of hundred years, you're going to go crazy. But when you go crazy, you come back from it if you have enough time.
Yeah, you have to at some point.
Yeah, you can come back from that. And Leyland is a great example of, this guy's done some really messed up stuff.
His brain's a rubber band.
This guy, like, he's a zombie. He doesn't eat people. Revenants don't eat people.
No.
But he is...
He is a John Wick. He is sheer force of will.
Yes. But the reason he uses a silver pry bar that's also got, like, blessings and such on it is, a silver pry bar, by the way, made from the silver used to sell out Christ.
Wow.
Which was, it's kind of a scavenger hunt thing that I had going on for him in the background, because those were cursed. But he has a silver, a pry bar that he uses like a sword. Pry bars aren't sharp. They are square pieces of metal with hooks at the end. A pry bar is different from a crowbar, by the way. Crowbars are hooks, exactly. When he slices at people with this pry bar, he is tearing through their flesh.
And he's so strong, it looks like he just cut him.
Yeah. Well, it's sheer
strength.
It's sheer strength. Because he is so powerful. He's very trained and
brutal.
He's very trained and elaborated in the mystic arts. There's a couple of aspects of his backstory that I go back and forth on, but yeah, just imagine this guy. He's kind of charismatic, kind of robotic, walks around wearing really tight black clothes, but he has this really large Hawaiian shirt on. And then when he is engaged with like a werewolf or something, he tears the Hawaiian shirt off and tears through it.
Wow.
With a pry bar.
That's brutal.
It's I might not be doing him justice because it's been a while since I've thought about any of these OCs, but I always liked Leyland.
Well, if you're going to use them at some point, don't give them away too much.
I didn't want to give away too much. I've already given away a little bit more than I would have liked to, but you gave away a lot, so.
Well, the difference is that I'm most likely never going to use them.
True. But I'd like to be able to give them justice here.
And if
I never use them, I'd like to still be able to give them justice here.
If I use them later, I have proof that I've talked about them before.
Yeah.
Everybody took them.
Sure. But my second...
Because I will back up this backup file.
Yeah.
I want proof.
There's more I could say about Leyland, but I'm going to let it go. He's a paranormal investigator who works for an organization of paranormal investigators that he helped found. And then he leaves the organization because he doesn't agree with the organization.
As we're talking, I'm saying this in case someone takes this idea and I use it later and like, no, that's not fair. It is December 12th, 2017.
Yes, I believe we said that earlier.
Yes.
Because Star Wars.
Yes, I am making sure that I get credit at least.
Yeah, well, there are... Anyway, I will move on from Leyland as much as I love the guy. And I will talk about Valent Jewel.
Okay, next name.
He's probably my very first OC. I came up with the idea for Valent when I was still in elementary school, and elaborated on it through middle school and high school, to the point where I still use the story has completely restructured itself, but I'm still working on it. You know, it's the story that I chose to stop working on. When I realized that when I write it, I would not be able to write it and do it justice. I would not be a good enough writer to write the story and make it good enough for anyone to want to read it. And it's why I created Leyland and Tabitha.
Okay.
I created Leyland and Tabitha to give myself something to start to write. A series that I could just write on end. Something to practice with. Which is funny because those characters, not just Leyland and Tabitha, but the other characters who were in the background also became some of my favorite characters. Like, I had Franklin Nates, who is a doctor who works for that paranormal organization who's actually Frankenstein's monster.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Frankie! But,
Frankie!
Valent Jewel was his original name. He's gone over changing his name several times. He is an entity who exists in a story where there is essentially a Cold War between Earth and Mars because people who are living on Mars are developing special abilities to cope with the harsh environment of the planet. And Valent's special ability is he is electricity. So he is lightning.
Wow.
Very, very kind of a silly thing, but you gotta remember I came up with the idea when I was in school.
Yeah.
So Valent is lightning, but he was born crippled. He was born unable to walk and without the use of his left arm.
Color me intrigued.
So he was born on Mars, but he spent his life unable to use his arms and legs and arm. And in his adulthood, he was able to develop a process which seamlessly merges technology with biology. Kind of like the what is it? The roboticized, the roboticism from Sonic. You turn animals into machines.
That's messed up.
He is able to seamlessly merge biology with technology, and he uses it to turn himself into what is essentially he's not a RoboCop, but
Cyborg, essentially.
He was a scientist who was working for an organization. He was working for the Earth organization as part of a secret task force that would execute missions on Mars.
Okay.
And then they reached a point where the task force no longer agreed with what Earth was trying to get them to do because Earth was taking advantage of them.
Wow.
So they rebel.
So they're just like, no.
They rebel. And then Valent uses the process that he created on himself to make himself more of a... he basically turns himself into a super soldier. You know, because he replaces his legs, he replaces his arm.
Wow.
You know, he integrates so much technology into himself that he almost loses himself. And they do indeed. He and another character do indeed lose themselves. It leads to the death of several of their friends by their own hands.
Wow.
Later. Valent actually shoots the woman he loves, who he's in love with. He shoots her in the chest with a shotgun. Point blank range. He destroys her heart.
Man.
It is one of the most... She get better.
Well, okay, then.
I know.
Wavian in action.
I know, but it was a good cliffhanger. It's a good cliffhanger if I ever actually write the story. But, I mean...
You're gonna have to explain that, though.
It's obvious. Valent created a process that could create perfect biology from technology. They just replace her heart.
Fair enough.
They had to keep her alive long enough to do it, but...
At that point, they could probably just revert.
Yeah, Valent and his other buddy, who had also undergone this process, it's his best friend and the leader of that task force, they basically...
Lose their mind.
The technology in their bodies causes them to become susceptible to viruses, and they get taken over.
Wow.
And the first thing that they do is they go out and they try to kill the rest of their friends. And both of them try very hard to kill Valent's sister. They fail. Luckily, she gets away. But the very first thing that Valent does when he walks in after having that done to him is he pulls out his energy shotgun, points it at the woman he loves, and blows a hole in her chest with zero hesitation.
Wow.
They go Terminator. And, yeah, they feel really bad about that. She's alive, they don't find out that she's alive for a long time. She gets to be held a prisoner for a while.
I at least
which
hope
isn't
it's
as
a happy ending.
It is. I don't have the ending, believe it or not. It's one of my oldest stories, and I don't necessarily have the ending plotted out yet. But yeah, Valent, super smart scientist who has the ability to control, manipulate, and transform into lightning, and used a technological process that he developed himself to make himself one of the most powerful secret agent / RoboCops in the universe.
It works.
And then got hijacked.
Somehow.
Then got hijacked and tried to murder his sister and his girlfriend. So, good times. Good times. The last one I'm going to mention is.
Before you go to the last one, I'd like to just let the listeners know we want to credit this to Big Wing Boy again. He's the one that gave us the shout out question.
Yes. I would have referenced that, but I'm not sure if we're going to.
Every time.
If we're going to credit every time.
Doesn't matter if it's the same person forever.
So yeah, the last one I'm going to talk about is Bentley. Bentley, or Ben, who's actually named after the last name of my grandfather, is a character in a story in which, and I'm going to be kind of vague on this one because this is the one I'm playing close to my chest. A group of children play a dark ritual game that lets a demon go.
Oh, God.
They accidentally release a demon from its prison, which has psychological and metaphysical effects on all of them. Bentley is a character who's there and not there at the same time. People think... The way I intend to write this story is... It will be told partly from his point of view, but everyone is going to think that he's the villain. When in actuality, he's not the hero, but he is certainly... Bentley is the deus ex machina that solves the problem at the end of the story. It is, it's very complicated. Suffice to say, each of them has an ability after what happened to them, and Bentley's is the manipulation of gravity.
Awesome.
It's not so much he can make people float, so much as he can affect the way gravity affects him.
Still awesome.
But the
What's this for a split second is 5,000 pounds.
I'm not
the
going...
bones are ash, but you're dead.
I'm not going to go into detail about how this happens, but Bentley, in my story, the soul consists of three things: the mind, the body, and the spirit. And Bentley, through whatever process that is involved in my story that I'm not going to share with the listeners, has two spirits attached to his body that are both sharing the same mind.
Well, okay then.
You can imagine that would wreck someone, especially when they had that happen to them when they were children, and then spent the next 8 years being moved from location to location, being used as... Basically, they took him to a church, right?
By the power of Christ,
literally. They took him to a church to try and get him exorcised, and then the church deliberately lost him in the system.
Wow.
Because, wow, we can use this. It's like, look at this kid levitating off the bed. We can use this. Because that's what was happening. This kid has two souls attached, two spirits attached to his body, sharing the same mind and same body. And he can levitate. How possessed can you get? How much more possessed can you look? He looks like he's possessed by a demon. Which technically he might be, we don't know. But the church deliberately loses him in the system and move him around.
I want my kid back.
That happens. But they don't get him back. He gets lost in the system for 8 years. You know? And they use him as a propaganda tool. You know? Which, frankly, in the real world, that kind of thing happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But, I like him if only for the fact that he he ends up becoming the Deus Ex Machina at the end of the story. He's not the main character so much as he is...
Along for the ride.
He's along for the ride, but he's also the most crucial aspect of the story. And without him, there is no winning it. The entire story is about this group of friends who all went their separate ways after they were all critically scarred by what happened to them. None of them know what happened. But they all have to come together and try to support this one who's completely broken. You know? This kid who has been destroyed and has spent the last 8 years fighting for control of his emotions. Because he has 2 spirits attached to his mind.
He's confused.
He's confused, he's emotionally unstable, he's scared. And the whole story is about 8 years later, all of his former friends coming together to try and help build this person back up and help him.
That's nice.
And it almost happens, the way the story is going to be structured, it's happening kind of to the side of everything that's going on. It's just like almost a byproduct of what's happening. But it turns out that them doing that is what saves them in the end.
That's a nice story.
I love that character. I very much identify with that character because I would understand that need. I've been in places in my life where I would understand the need of having somebody look out for you like that.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I'm wrecked. Sometimes I just need someone to talk to. Sometimes I'm in a room with somebody and I just want to talk to them, but I don't really have any way that I can express that to them. What's a real way of portraying that? Having someone with 2 spirits who literally flip-flops from I love you to I want to bite your face off. Because the other half of him is evil.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more that I could go into for these stories, but I feel like I'm not doing Ben justice because I'm not explaining enough of the story to make it make sense, but he is a very... What happens to Ben is crucial in the story. He's sort of the main character, but only by association.
Yeah. No, I understand.
I like how... The reason he's one of my favorites, if not my favorite, is because the heroes have to save him. And as a result of them saving him, and not even necessarily because they feel like they need to, they save themselves. And I feel like that's a beautiful story to tell. Did you have a runner-up? Maybe the one that's associated with D&D? I could mention Muska.
I'm pretty sure that that's all I want to talk about my characters right now.
Okay. I could mention Muska, but I've mentioned Muska on the podcast several times. God of Sigil, Lord of Swords, Master of Portals, etc., etc. But that's our listener question. And that pretty much brings this show to a close. So, fellow Nerdians, we hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Levels of Ridiculousness. You can always find our backlog of older shows, as well as a new episode of lore every Wednesday, here at NerdDum. I'm Ozpin.
This is DK.
Please like, comment, subscribe, leave a listener question, leave a topic suggestion, tell a friend, and rest assured that you're all always welcome here in the kingdom of NerdDum.
Salutations.
Have a good one.
Yeah.